year in camp, especially after Kenny Pickett got hurt. And by their actions, they showed that they viewed Kenny Pickett as really the only real competitor to Joe for the job at that point. They gave Dillon Gabriel some first-team reps, and then, Shedeur was sort of treated a little bit more like the developmental guy. Looking back at it now, Kenny by far had the best chance to beat out Joe, and obviously injury affected his ability to do that.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
This is a defining announcement for the show and the station, but one that could also come back to bite me. And you.
I don't think you should be saying it that way. No. I think this is a great thing. We will be live on YouTube, on 92.3 The Fan's YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe and be ready. 6 a.m. We're going live. We'll do it live. You'll be able to see it all the nits and grits that you could possibly want. Lima just had a pen explode in his hands, so now we'll go to the phone.
What in the world just happened?
In North Carolina on the free Odyssey app. You're next up on The Fan. Lima looks like
guys,
you just
thanks
tried
for
to rob
taking
a
the call.
bank. You have ink all over yourself. Get rid of that pen, and it fell on the
left
floor.
behind.
Whoever picks it up is going to get ink all over their hands. It's like we have a bunch of squids in here. It's ridiculous in this room. Hello, Will in North Carolina.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. Sounds like y'all are having a good time in here this morning.
I said for so many years we should be on TV, and now we are on YouTube, and it will be live.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
What's going on?
Nothing. Do I just stare into the camera like this, or how do I do it? Hi.
Did they give us any kind of stage direction?
I don't know.
I think you're both TV professionals, right?
Oh, wait, they told me not to look over to your side, Owen, so we will no longer
Do not
be
look at me.
No, you got to look
in
at
conversation.
Because you guys got some unspoken language you have there.
I can't. I got to look either at the camera or you.
I can barely see
forward.
Owen because of the light behind him or in front of him. My God.
Well, the lights.
You didn't see that signal.
The lights got ratcheted up over the last 24 hours.
Well, that's what you wanted, and that's what you got.
So they're a little bright, not going to lie. Pretty soon I'm going to be wearing sunglasses in the studio.
We can wear sunglasses in studio here. There was a very, very, very well-known radio guy who did that for a long time. He was very successful. So maybe you need to start wearing sunglasses in studio. Maybe that will work. Just throwing it out there. What's the bigger story, us on YouTube or Kenny Pickett being traded?
Oh, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because Owen played the Open, and it was just our announcement that we're on YouTube at 92.3 The Fan. And I realized, we don't have any highlights of Kenny Pickett.
Well, the story is not Kenny Pickett being gone. It is a man by the name of Shedeur Sanders.
Lima said his name first today.
Going
6:04, 38 seconds.
Climbing up the depth chart just like that. I'm now doing act outs.
The yodeler? Is it the
doing
yodeler?
Act outs with my hands. I wouldn't have normally done that.
No,
in the
you wouldn't have
past.
done that. No.
Yes, he's gone from 4th string to 3rd string.
There's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shedeur Sanders.
Hold on. No, hold on. Don't fire the music. No, I'm telling you. No.
What?
There's good and not so good with this. You're going to make me be the bad guy? I'll be the bad guy. Yes.
Kenny is the bad guy.
I am not the bad guy. We are closer, one QB closer to Shedeur Sanders. That's nice. But we are also one QB closer to Deshaun Watson. You got to take that into account.
Is this today's version of Yay Boo?
I'm not trying to do a heel turn. It's like, all right, Dillon Gabriel, then Shedeur, then all the other things. And then I'm like, well, you know, the videos are out there. He's out there practicing. He's throwing footballs. He's doing jogging drills, which Lima thought, I don't think you'd ever thought he was going to ever walk again for whatever reason. And I'm like, guys, it's been 8 months since the second Achilles injury. He's an athlete. He's probably going to be able to move and be okay. You, on the other hand, thought he was never, ever going to be able to move again. And so I was like, well...
Incapacitated, I think is the term I used.
Yes, you thought incapacitated was going to be it. And now he's working out in the facility. And I go, hell, you are one QB closer to Shedeur. And that's fun, but you're also one QB closer to Deshaun. So...
I think people take it.
Those who are really, really excited that we're closer and you're like, well, you got to hope Joe goes a little bit because you don't want to go too soon.
Although I guess there are people that hate both of them. I guess there are people that hate Deshaun Watson.
Well, I don't hate either of them.
And also hate Shedeur Sanders.
Well, I can't help those people. I don't hate either of them. I want to see Shedeur Sanders. I do not want to see Deshaun Watson. I'm fine with seeing Dillon Gabriel, and certainly I'm fine with seeing Joe Flacco. So we'll see how that goes. But I just think that if you get to that fourth quarterback, it's just a whole lot of the last 3 years. And then it maybe muddies up your situation. Because I told you, I mean, if he plays, you watch, he'll play really well, and then all of a sudden it gums up the works for getting that high draft pick in the future. But, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Were you surprised by the trade yesterday?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, because I do think there are people in that building that think Kenny Pickett was the best option, was the best quarterback. There are people that had a higher favorability on him. Maybe not in the future, but like right now, I think there are people in that building that thought he might have given them the best chance to win. But
again, out of 150 people, you're going to find some people.
No, I think it might have been the GM. It might have been Andrew Berry. I mean, remember, he was the first guy they went out and got. They traded DTR and a 5th round pick for him. He was here a month before Joe Flacco. They could have gotten Joe Flacco first. They didn't. They went and got Kenny Pickett first. He's the younger guy.
So what changed the GM's mind?
I think the injury. I think they realized first of all, it was silly always having 4 of the guys, 2 rookies and 2 veterans, one in his 40s. I mean, that never made sense. And I think most people would be honest now and say, yeah, that probably wasn't the best system to get the most out of any of these quarterbacks. Okay. Probably got the least out of the most. But in addition to that, on the 4th day when Kenny Pickett injures the hammy, and we came on the very next day and said, well, the quarterback competition's over. Like, Joe Flacco's the starter. They ended up being right.
Yeah.
I mean, not because we're soothsayers.
Wasn't that hard to be right on that.
Because that was the competition. They kept saying quarterback competition. The only competition was, 2 of them, was the rookies battling it out for the depth chart, and then, your 2 veterans battling out to be a starter. And unfortunately, there wasn't a competition for the starter, or maybe fortunately, depending on whether you think Joe Flacco needed to be pushed or whatever. I don't think anybody was really rooting for Kenny Pickett.
I think Father Time was pushing Joe Flacco, if probably. Anything, yeah. Of the 4 quarterbacks, probably Kenny Pickett was the least cheered for by the fan base. I mean, I know he had his own fans and family that were kind of getting all worked up, like, hey, I guess good luck to him and his future endeavors with the Las Vegas Raiders. We got a 5th round pick back, so we got the 5th round pick that you invested, so no harm, no foul. Technically, you got it back for DTR, who's now, a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's going to pass through waivers or anything. Today's the day, 4 o'clock, but they got to get down to 53. And then you start to look at other guys. So with Kenny gone, it does speed up the clock on everybody else. So it's like, how long is the leash on Joe? Because that first game, man, there's going to be a lot to deal with. A lot of emotions. Because we've gone out there in game 1, and we've had a couple of wins under Stefanski, if I'm not mistaken, in game 1. And then you remember his first ever game, we got boat raced by Baltimore.
The Ravens, yeah.
Awful game. And then there was last year when Dallas beat you up. The year before in 2019, Freddie Kitchens got beat down by Tennessee, which, boy, I was wrong about that one. Oh, boy. You've had some bad ones, and I think that really sets the tone because it's like, hey, if you win that game, great. If you lose that game and you lose by 3, and it's like, hey, Joe Flacco played all right. It's like, all right, Joe Flacco continues to play. We're still kind of feeling it around here. If you go out there and you get hammered like you did last year, I think it's all opinions are out there and open for examination. Whether or not Joe stays to the Browns, Joe would just play week 2 more than likely. But to the fans don't want their time wasted. So it's either you're trying to win or you're trying to lose. One of the 2 things, I think, for a fan. You're either trying to win or you're not. Trying to lose is a strong thing, but I think that's in the back of a lot of fans' heads because of the draft class that's coming up. Because I don't want to. I thought about this on the ride home with you yesterday when I was talking to you on the phone. Carson Schlesinger looks good. Mason Graham looks good. This Aiden Hutchinson kid, I don't know, did you see the Baldy breakdown?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was Aiden Huntington, I should say, not Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson plays for the Detroit Lions, and now that's something I'm going to mess up for the rest of my life. Aiden Huntington is fantastic. Aiden Hutchinson's fantastic, too, but Aiden Huntington looks great. And so where's he going to be? Now, I know he might be buried a little bit, but you have good young players you think are going to be there. I don't want to waste any time of theirs. So it's like immediately, hey, if we find the quarterback, then Schlesinger, Graham, maybe Huntington, but that's probably putting carts before horses here. It's only training camp. You don't want to waste your time with those guys the way we've done it, because now I'm starting to think with Miles, every year you don't have a quarterback, you're in trouble, because now I've just wasted another great year. It becomes Joe Thomas 2.0. So now you want to get the quarterback. So it has to be about something. The season has to stand for something. And 7 wins ain't going to cut it for a lot of Browns fans. It's either 10, 11, 12 postseason, which seems to be unrealistic, or 4, 3, somewhere in there, and now you have a chance to really do something and go get your quarterback and finally get this thing righted. Now, you have the chance to get it righted. We're going to have to be patient with the guy because we have to learn from our recent history here over the last 4 or 5 years. But there's going to be some more to that, because if these rookies are good and it becomes a good rookie class for Andrew Berry, I don't want to waste any of their time or our time with those players.
Yeah, you ask about the leash, and I keep coming back to like 3 or 4 games. The problem is the 4th game's Detroit, so probably not an ideal time to throw in a rookie, right? But it's not going to be perfect no matter what you do. That's why you mentioned the Bengals game. Most of my friends, they think this is going to be a disastrous year. So when I say things like, oh man, the game 1 is going to be huge, they're like, huge. They're going to win like 3 or 4 games this year. But that's how the formula to winning 3 or 4 games this year is losing to the Bengals and looking bad against the Bengals. If you lose to the Bengals in game 1, then you are on your way. You are on your way to number 1 pick in the draft, right?
Yeah.
If they win game 1 and they do to Joe Burrow what they seem to have the ability to do, I think he's 3-5 against the Browns. We're talking about Joe Burrow, who by most accounts is either the 2nd or 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the NFL, and he's 3-5 against the Browns. They've had his number in a lot of ways. They have all the pressure on the world. My God, their entire offseason and preseason was about not starting out 0-2. So for the 4th straight year. So it is a big matchup. It's like the loser of that game, it can change the trajectory of the entire season.
So I'll tell you this: if they go and they beat the Bengals on next Sunday, if they go and beat them on that Sunday afternoon, I will come in and I will do Super Bowl Super Rounds and I will whoop it up on Monday. However, as the week goes on, I will have to warn you that week 1s can be deceiving. There's a lot of teams that have gone out and won week 1 and then still look like garbage for the rest of the season. Yes, so you can go out and you can win week 1. And the Browns, they've looked like crap in week 1 before and still made the playoffs. So there is a yin to a yang there where we don't know. But you want to get off on a good start, and you want to get off on a good start, because I am in time-saving mode here I do want to get Joe through a reasonable amount of the schedule before I do dive into Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. I do want to wait a reasonable amount of time because I want them to see. And Joe doesn't have to mentor them. He doesn't have to hold their hand. It's up to them to be grown adults and to observe and to watch and to take in what a guy's supposed to take in. But it's up to them to go forward and see what they can do and then be ready to start. So you have to watch Joe, watch what the game plans are, understand those as best you can. Run scout, run second team. So you'll look at Joe running first team, Dylan taking a few second team snaps, and then you'll watch scout team with Shedeur. And as they go up the chart, then you're going to have to watch that a little bit closer.
Kenny, you just gave the Browns a marketing idea. Are you kidding me? Scout team with Shedeur. They make that their own, hey, we're doing a live stream. You imagine if they live streamed his scout team reps, the conversation that would come with it?
Absolutely, anything's possible.
Isn't that crazy? We talked about Shedeur being the number 2 overall pick like a month for the combine, and now he's scout team with the Cleveland Browns, one of the worst teams in the NFL.
What are you trying to say? That
is a fall from grace. And I do wonder how he mentally, if we're still allowed to talk about Shedeur. I know there have been people saying, finally, you're done with Shedeur talk.
We will be.
I think a lot of it will go away
to some degree, yeah.
But we still got to.
They just traded Kenny Pickett, guys. Yeah. We got to talk a little bit about what that implies for everybody else in the quarterback room. Yes,
but the way they do quarterbacks now, especially, he will be in uniform. He won't be active, but you can put that third quarterback as your emergency guy.
Oh yeah,
he'll be in uniform on every sideline,
unless
and then if things happen,
they're not bringing back the Pro Bowler, are they?
I mean, they
Tyler
just cut
Huntley?
him out, right?
No, they're not. Why would they bring back Tyler Huntley?
Because now they're down a quarterback. they had 4.
Well,
They
you
said,
can have
remember,
3.
All the big guys said they would have 4 quarterbacks.
By the way, this is another lesson, and people will forget this. It'll come out of my mouth, they'll nod, and then they'll forget about it the next time Andrew Berry says something. NFL teams are under no obligation to tell you the truth, ever. And I heard a lot of people say they're going to camp with 4. They're going to camp with 4. They're going to camp with 4. Andrew Berry said they're going to camp with 4. Write your articles. Do the radio interviews.
Okay.
The hosts go on the shows and say they're doing 4. I don't understand why people still believe talking heads or people in organizations or coaches. Why does anybody believe anybody these days? They're under no obligation to tell you the truth. They're under none.
You think
they think it's all a strategic advantage to lie somehow, some way. They think other teams, are operating in a way that if they give any information out whatsoever, they lose the advantage.
To some level, yes. But I also think hey, we don't need to bring back Tyler Huntley immediately. Like if there's an injury, it's like, hey, Ben DiNucci's out there.
No, I know, but
obviously.
What if they think like Tyler Huntley is more prepared to go in for Joe Flacco if he gets injured in game 1 than Dylan Gabriel? Is that an impossibility? I bet you more people would think they'd be in better hands with Tyler Huntley, who's played in how many NFL games, than Dylan Gabriel. But I don't know if that's their goal. I don't know what their goal is anymore. From the minute they assembled the 4-person quarterback room, their goals became a little foggy.
My goal as a Browns fan is to not have my time wasted in 2025.
Did you have your time wasted in that 2-minute drill when he went in there?
Yes.
In the last preseason game?
No offense to Tyler Huntley. He's a nice guy.
So who knows what the Browns are thinking?
He is a waste of all of our time.
They thought that was a good idea.
Do not waste my time in 2025. That's the Edge NFL Films Edge Shave Gel Year in Review. Don't waste our time. That's the name of the clips. John Greco, 8 o'clock. Brady Quinn, Fox Sports College Football.
texted us if you thought this was the case. But
I read the article. He didn't mention us.
No, I know it's more about I think the national voices. But people have lumped us in there for sure. I mean, we've had people locally go, "You guys are really debating a 4-string quarterback again?
Yeah.
That's your topic today."
Yes.
And I mean, if I could show you the interest levels, they're there.
If we didn't have 2 first-round picks, if we did not have a 40-year-old quarterback, you would be valid in that. But we don't, or we have all those things. So yeah, we're gonna argue about that. Again, for a fan, the entire goal of the season is to not have your time wasted. Go right on ahead, Tone.
Well, I guess the bigger question is like the Shedeur stuff. You knew he was going to be a lightning rod. I don't think I thought it would be what it ended up being, which was every national voice had multiple segments. Some of them had like 5 to 10 segments about a 4-string quarterback. I don't think I've ever seen that. I know there have been popular guys. Like I compared very early on to Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was a first-round pick and was a national champion, was a Heisman winner.
Okay.
Shedeur had the name and the great story. We talked about Shedeur a ton the previous 2 years. We talked about him and Dion and Colorado and obviously Travis Hunter. There was a lot there to talk about. So that was obviously inbounds. People understood why you'd be talking about that. And a month before the combine, really leading up till the combine, I think we all thought he was going to be a first-round pick.
Yes.
Most thought he was a first-round pick. Mel Kiper thought he would be number 2. And so we wondered when he dropped to the 5th round, I told Ken, I'm like, well, there goes a lot of the Shedeur stuff. I mean, how much are people really going to be talking about one of the worst teams in football having a quarterback room with 4? Like, how much is it really going to be talked about? I was totally wrong.
Yeah.
I was totally wrong. It was a national topic every single day.
Every day.
With people tracking the stats. That was probably a little too far, right? I mean, people are interested in it. So you're going to give people what they're interested in. But in terms of, like, people that know the league, I mean, that's pretty crazy. You wouldn't normally do that for any 5th round pick or 4-string quarterback. But then, we had on yesterday Emory Hunt, and he said he's not a 5th round pick. I mean, he fought back with us. He's like, he's a 1st-round pick.
I love the interview.
He's a 1st-round pick. And I'm like,
92thefan.com.
well, no, he slipped to the 5th. He probably is not a 5th-round profile. But, he was taken in the 5th, and he would not acknowledge it. He's like, no, he's a 1st-round pick. You treat him like a 1st-round pick. Well, the Browns clearly were not doing that.
Well, I always said, you can't treat him like a normal 5th-round pick because he's just not a normal 5th-round pick. I mean, we've seen this entire thing. And I think that when you do this, what Shedeur has done, he intersects sports and culture. Mm-hmm. And when you intersect sports and culture, there's a lot of people who do have the best of intentions, but there's also people who are going to do their very best to turn things into a circus. And if I'm one of the chief clowns, fine, go right on ahead. Because I want to see a chance to have a guy like I'm not. This is an HBO. I'm not on Infinity Sports Network right now. I'm being very dead honest with everybody. I want to see what's best for the football team for the future, and there is a hope that I'm clinging to, and it might not be very realistic. It's probably not realistic that maybe there's some gold. I want that story that there's gold in them there hills where you could find a guy and then maybe use the 2 first-round picks for something else next year. More than likely, 90% sure that's not going to happen. And the more games that Joe Flacco plays for the Cleveland Browns, and then the more games that Dylan Gabriel plays for the Cleveland Browns, it's highly unlikely that happens. It goes up even further, and it's already 90%. But there's still a hope that you cling to. The other conversations, though, the word disingenuous has been thrown around on both sides. And I think it's been something to examine. I think some people may have embarrassed themselves with some of the things that they've thrown around because you and I, we know the Browns. Okay, we've been in the building. We've been to the gala, as Nick likes to say. I can tell you unequivocally, they wouldn't go out of their way to sabotage. Now, they might do it by accident, sabotaging them, because they've had the best of intentions for a long time and have messed those up. But they didn't go out of their way to sabotage them. And some of the things that were thrown around about the Browns were just outrageously untrue over the last month. And so when you come out and you say that, like, this is untrue about the Browns. Listen, I know these guys, they're desperate for any quarterback. Like, we've been down that road a million times. You guys are the home of the Browns. All you guys do is cover for the Browns. Like, you can't win. And I'm going, man, guys, I've said meaner things about the Browns over the last 14 years than I have about the other two teams in town combined. And still, I don't think that they would do that. I mean, that is sinister. They wouldn't do that to Shedeur Sanders, and they wouldn't do that to, I think, any quarterback that they've ever had.
People did say...
Certainly not a rookie.
Did this, in the end, did it validate the people that thought taking him in the 5th round would be a circus? Because I don't think the circus was in town, but I think the circus revolving around all the Browns conversation, that is something that did transpire.
It's weird. There was a circus, but the tent was never up in Berea.
Yeah, was not there.
And the tent's usually up in Berea.
Really, gotta be honest, the national media check out every camp. It wasn't like when Manziel was here, ESPN immediately had, I think it was Jeremy Fowler or whatever, like, hey, you're covering the Browns now. Like, get over there. Like, we had networks stationed with their coverage daily of Johnny Manziel here. That wasn't happening with Shedeur. Part of it was he was way down on the depth chart.
But when he was starting that game against Carolina, I mean, you still had, 2.5 million viewers?
Yeah.
You had a lot of people checking in on that game, seeing what he did, and was only better as he played better in that game against Carolina. It is a weird... It's just this weird time where you don't know really what category to put him in. Because, again, 5th round pick, I still think he's going to start a game for the Browns this year. I'm even more confident, obviously, than I was yesterday morning that he's going to start a game for the Browns this year now that Kenny Pickett has been sent to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 5th round pick. So I feel even more confident about it. Now, what do we do? Because today we talk about it because Kenny Pickett's been traded. Eventually, it goes away, and we got to talk about Joe, and then we'll see what happens after every Joe start. And then we'll see what happens after every Dylan Gabriel start, and so on and so forth. Like, it goes away. But this last month, it's been different, but I can't say I'm not used to the arguments. I can't say I'm not used to the circus. We've had Johnny, Baker, Odell, Shedeur, now with 4 different guys that have come with their own set of conversations and circumstances here. It's just a new way to have an old argument about, are the Browns doing what they need to be doing to get the very best out of this player? Is the player worth it in the long run? Johnny was not worth it. Baker turned out to be worth it. Odell really turned out to not be worth it. I loved Odell, not worth it. We'll find out about Shedeur. So right now, you're 2 for 3 on guys that aren't worth it. And the one... Now, that's going to stick with you for a long time, it seems.
Do you think, once the games start, week 1, there will be a shot of Shedeur and there will be some comments. Week number 2 might be a shot of Shedeur and a little bit more, muted comments.
It just
By
depends.
week 3, are they still going to be showing Shedeur Sanders on the sidelines?
It just depends on how the games go. Because if they win some games, if they start off 1-2 or something like that, then he goes away. The conversations go away.
But the funny thing is,
if you're in the fourth quarter,
the funny thing is when they took him, people are like, "Oh my God, Shedeur, his dad is going to be talking about the Browns in every press conference." Hasn't happened. Literally has not been any of that. There's been no issue with Deion Sanders. There's been no issue really from anybody in the Sanders camp, other than if you want to say his brother shooting video when. He was talking to Tony that was it. But that's the only time you've had anything.
It's week 3 and it's 27-3 against Green Bay and we're losing. They got to find someone to talk about in the fourth quarter. And they ain't going to talk about any backups with Green Bay.
So Joe playing well is the way to truly silence any of that talk.
Yes. If you guys are sick and tired of hearing about it, and sometimes we get sick and tired of talking about him, you better hope Joe Flacco balls out this year. The longer he balls out, the quieter that conversation is. And then you get the best of both worlds, because then you get some competitive play. You get a 40-year-old that everybody likes, a veteran, a guy that took you to the playoffs at one point, and there's no doubt you would just use those picks to go after a quarterback next year because you're in that spot and he's 40 years old, for crying out loud. So that's the thing you have to hope for. Then if the wheels come off with him, then you got to hope the same thing for Dylan Gabriel. So there are definitely people who are out there that are sick and tired of the conversation, but it's the brightest spot for the future I think I have right now until we really start in earnest. All right, Cade Klubnik. Okay, Garrett Nuss.
2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 855 the letter U, the letter R, Genius. See website for details.
Traffic is light this morning, 176 north from 480 to Steelyard, 90 east from Crocker to Euclid Avenue, and Route 8 north from Graham to 303. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
We're live on YouTube right now. Subscribe for free at YouTube, 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. John Greco coming up at 8:01. Things are starting to come unraveled. Well, they've lost 6 in a row, so they may well come unraveled, but it started to unravel publicly yesterday as Tanner Bybee and Stephen Vogt had an exchange in the dugout in the 4th inning.
In between innings, Tanner Bybee visibly upset, frustrated. Stephen Vogt.
Yeah, well, he was right behind him all the way.
That was not a pleasant conversation.
No, but you know what? That's what's been going on with Tanner Bybee. He came in and then said that, and the manager says, no. He put that to an end quickly.
Arch, thank you. I'm glad we showed it, but I'm glad you said that's normal. That happens in baseball at times.
Yeah, it sure does.
And it's okay. To me, that's okay.
Right. You see, he came in, he was upset
Right.
because of the things that happened, but you know what? That's been going on for too long, and his manager said, hey, you just deal with it. Move on. Trying to win a ball game, man. You need to be all pulling the same rope. Let's go.
So that's Guardians TV. They're talking about Stephen Vogt. Stephen Vogt had his say-so in the post-game yesterday. Here's what Stephen had to say about Bybee's blow-up.
I mean, emotions are high right now. Emotions are high with everybody. Tanner's one of the most competitive, fiery people I've ever been around, and he came in trying to pump the boys up, and I told him, not now, take it downstairs. And so we've already talked, we're good. It's one of those fiery moments that happens in competition in a long season, and Tanner's has been and will continue to be one of our best, and we know the competitive fire is what drives him, and like I said, emotions are high right now.
Was he trying to fire the boys up, or was he coming in bitching?
No, he was coming in bitching.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
coming in bitching.
I was surprised at the verbiage was used.
If a guy walks into a dugout, let's go, boys, let's go, you're not going to shut him up. Yeah. You're gonna let him do it. If he comes in bitching, you're going to go, no, you take that down to the clubhouse.
Score, bleep, and run.
Yeah, Ken's been doing a ton to fire up the 30 producers that's worked for him. Or he was just screaming, throwing staplers.
He was firing staplers at him.
There's a difference there. We can just be honest.
That was me.
I know what you're trying to do, and I don't like
it. In this case, I heard Dre say, well, it's normal. Yeah, there is emotion in 162 or whatever, but you were about to use the term unraveling. This is unraveling, and we have not really seen that kind of emotion from anybody, and then the manager to come out right after him. I don't care what he said afterwards. Like, Vogt was clearly ticked. Well, so we haven't seen a lot of that. In fact, during the 10-game losing streak, we wanted to see it. We wanted to see it when Jose Ramirez, which might have been the first big strike against the team this year, was when it looked like they weren't really standing up for Jose Ramirez at one point. And that launched the 10-game losing streak.
And he was guilty of that, and I stand by him being guilty of that. He should have came out and got himself thrown out for Jose Ramirez's benefit because of what had happened. And then Jose, remember, was out the next day after he got hit by that pitch. So that was ridiculous. But let me tell you this. I'm on Stephen Vogt's side on this. I mean, you have almost 70 ERA since the beginning of July. Tanner Bybee. Tanner Bybee's been one of the guys that have been signed.
25 home runs.
The guys at the plate know they're struggling. There is no doubt you've gone 27 or 28 innings now without scoring a run, which is unbelievable. The guys at the plate know they're clearly pressing. You have Junior Caminero hitting another home run last night, who used to be your draft pick, so everybody's going to be upset about that. Not that the players pay attention about that, but that's the fans. And I don't need some guy with a 7 ERA since the beginning of July walking into the dugout, bitching in front of television where all the fans can hear him above the dugout. I don't need that, and Stephen Vogt wouldn't need that, and I'm glad Stephen Vogt did what he did. Stephen Vogt should have grabbed him and taken him down to the dugout, and they could have had it out there in the hallway.
To get physical.
I didn't want him to get physical, but damn it, they should have had the conversation down there. Stephen Vogt's right about that. You ain't making the situation any better by coming in here and being immature and starting to bitch out everybody for something that they know, because that's what it was. He gave up 2 runs, got upset because he gave up 2 runs because the game's starting to get away from him, and now he's upset with the guys on offense. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. They know it's frustrating. They're all grown men. They get it.
Yeah, you said they're pressing. I mean, knowing that the pitchers at this stage, like, they're pressing. Every pitch has to be perfect, they probably feel like, because if they give up any runs whatsoever, that's the game, because they don't have an offense that can sustain anything. So this has been a disastrous moment. When we were riding high, I think, what were they like 16-8 at one point, or whatever their record was. We're like, well, they've got the best record in baseball in the second half of the year after the All-Star break, or in the American League, they had the best record. And the schedule looked so inviting for them to make a run, and they were feeling good about themselves. And we're like, all right, they hadn't played their best baseball yet, so maybe they were finally playing their best baseball. But the margin for error, we always knew with this team. And every year, the margin for error with the Guardians is just going to be so small where they can't afford to have any lapses. They just can't afford to have it. I mean, that's the end of a season. You may be allowed one bad stretch. This team can't have two bad stretches, and they're having their second bad stretch.
You have a season that's off the rail, is what you're starting to have here, when you have that type of immaturity. So the whole thought about making the postseason, to me, is done. The whole thought about winning the wild card, getting into the postseason, that's over. Now it's time to figure out what you're going to do here for the rest of this season. Now we're talking about bringing up young guys. I mean, that's where it is. Now I want them to finish off strong. They're only 2 games under 500. I like them to try to approach 500 and finish out the year. But it's been a rough year. You had a look at it for a moment. You don't have a look at it anymore. You're losing to not good baseball teams. Which, by the way, Tampa Bay just is the same record as you, 64 and 67. So I don't know why why we have this standard that we're so much better. I think it's maybe because we don't pay attention to other teams as much as we do pay attention to the Guardians. But paying attention to the Guardians, if I saw guys going up there and just not giving a bleep, maybe I would stand with Tanner Bybee a little bit on this. But I do. I think that they're pressing. I think that they understand how disappointing of a season this is, coming off an ALCS run. I don't know if we know the future of Stephen Kwan. I think that that's very much up in the air. I think that Stephen Kwan thinks about that. And again, you have a guy...
His game's fallen apart. Yes. His approach to the plate is totally fallen apart.
And that's 3 straight years in a row where, to the point where I have to write it on the sheets going, hey, like, do we need to re-examine this? Because I was pounding drums for signing him to a long-term deal. And we're in the heat of things right now, and things ain't good. I wonder how many people would disagree with that now, as of today, where it's like, you don't want to give him money, Ken.
Even though
you don't want to give him money.
It's always the case with every baseball player in this town going forward until we see a dramatic increase in payroll. You always want your guys to be really good, but not so good that you can't sign them. Now is he back into that area of, hey, he's affordable. Maybe Kwan is affordable.
Well, I'll fight folks on it where I'm thinking, because my whole thing is Jose. Jose's approaching 33 years old, so my whole thing is, how much time do I still have with Jose where I can keep this window open? Because he's my only guaranteed Hall of Famer. He's the only Hall of Famer I have. Kyle Manzardo looks promising. George Valera, like some of the guys who you bring up, you don't know. You don't know what they're going to be. You hope that it reopens that window. But I have such youth, I can only go with what I know. And I think that this is still a better team with Stephen Kwan, so I'll still fight people on it. But when it comes to the pitching staff here, this is what's so bad, and what I have to recalibrate. You do get, they're the Steelers of Major League Baseball. I grow accustomed to things being a certain way. And when they're not that way, it's very, very hard for me to readjust and accept. This has been a team that has developed pitching for since this station has been on the air, and even longer than that. And right now, Gavin Williams is a roller coaster. Tanner Bybee is immature. And the other guys in the rotation, I mean, you're hoping for that. So I set that goal before the trade deadline. Oh, and I know you want to get in. I'll say this quick. Okay. I set that goal before the trade deadline. Is like, hey, I don't know what they're going to be for the rest of the year. I just kind of hope that this rotation gets straightened out. And I know it's a bad run, but damn it, now I'm feeling even worse because I got Tanner Bybee going in there and starting to get in people's crawl about all this stuff. Then I'm going to be feeling even worse about this than what I did already, what I even thought I was going to feel about it.
Well, not only that, I mean, you wonder, too, we talk about margin for error. They also can't have any margin for error with the guys they actually do sign. And Bybee got like $48 million guaranteed, which looked like, man, we got a great contract for somebody that could be the ace of this staff. And the minute you pay somebody, you always wonder what's going to happen. What's going to happen if we give him money? Or what does it do? Is the carrot not being dangled adequately? And like they can't make any mistakes with contracts. They make any mistakes with contracts at all. That's why the Quan thing gets really, really interesting.
For the first time in 15, 20 years, maybe, right? You don't have a true ace. There is no ace on the staff. Nope. You had Bieber, you had Kluber, you had Justin Masterson, you had Cliff Lee, you had CC Sabathia. Right now, you don't have anybody on those levels at all.
216-474-0092. All right, whose side are you? Are you on Stephen Vogt's side, by the way? Or are you on Tanner Bibby's side?
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
there a side to take on this? Because I got to take Stephen Vogt's side.
Yeah, I don't know. It's if Bibby was pitching better, he's just not pitching better. So you understand that his skipper is out there trying to do whatever he can to fix this team flailing away at the wrong time.
That and the last time the Fan did a redraft, it was all time bad. Well, why not do it again? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Greco, 801 on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the wonderful people at Daisy Dips.
circumstances, the starter held his own.
They got his pitch count up early. A couple 0-2 to 4-2 walks kind of got him into trouble. But I thought after that, I thought he threw the ball well. The one mistake out over the plate to Caminero. Obviously, we gifted them a couple runs, but I thought Tanner threw the ball pretty well.
Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan from the University Hospital Sports Desk. I'm Matt Corrali.
The afternoon drive.
What is the point of this year to you? Moving on from Deshaun, separating who's going to be here long-term or not, and figuring out if you have a long-term quarterback play on the roster. I don't think wins and losses is the end-all be-all unless you're a 3-win team or you're an 11-win team. If you're somewhere in the middle, then it's, were the young guys healthy and did they play well? Did the young quarterbacks play at all? And if they did, how did they look? Did Stefanski keep the locker room when tough time hits? Because you're not an 11-win team. At some point, tough times are going to hit.
I'm going to have a hard time with a lot of this because there is a part of me that I just need to see Stefanski get in the win column. And that might just be that it's hard to do with this team.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
"45 minutes away about last night. Could we be seeing the end of Tanner Bybee in Cleveland already?"
What?
Like, there were some people going, "Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if in December it was for prospects." I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. But you come in like that, man. He was coming in hot in that dugout there in the 4th inning yesterday. That coming up at about last night. Also, John Greco going to join us 8:01 this morning. And former Cleveland Browns quarterback, former Irish quarterback, Brady Quinn, Fox college football analyst, Fox Sports Radio, also Big Noon Kickoff. That's where he's a college football analyst, obviously. Brady Quinn going to join us on the show. Paul Feinbaum, he says he expects a Texas blowout. Well, what's Brady Quinn thinks going to happen on Saturday at Big Noon Kickoff? We'll find out with Brady coming up at 9:05 this morning. 216-474-0092. It's a big day for the Browns. Another big day for the Browns. They trade away Kenny Pickett. I wanted them to trade away Kenny Pickett. One, because I just don't. I think he's gumming. I thought he was gumming up the works. I thought he was there gumming up the works. And you know what? And I'm going to get to a couple of calls here, but the Dylan Gabriel stuff, like, I don't want to. There's some people who are becoming a little bit defensive on Dylan. I don't have anything against Dylan. I just don't think there's a ceiling there that tells me. I don't have hope, I should say. Like, there's still some, and it's probably unrealistic. You guys can go, "Ken, Shedeur was terrible on Saturday. What are you talking about?" Yeah, it's a little bit unrealistic. But if I had to bet on either one that they were going to become great, I'd probably take Shedeur, just because of the limitations that I think that Dylan Gabriel has. Doesn't mean Dylan Gabriel can't draw a pension. Because I'll tell you what, Shedeur, I don't know if he's a pension quarterback, pension player in the NFL, but I think a guy like Dylan Gabriel, yeah, I mean, you could see Dylan Gabriel in a preseason next year with either the Browns or somebody else, the year after that, the year after that, the year after that, like he could be around for 8 years.
I was really surprised at a lot of I almost think that as the pendulum continues to widely swing from one side to the other on these things after Shedeur's first preseason game. Of course, he didn't play in the second. Then we get to the third. And I thought Pickett had good moments, just like I thought Shedeur had good moments. Gabriel. I thought Gabriel had good moments, just like we saw Shedeur have good moments in the first game. But I was surprised to see how many people said, "That's it. That's the draft pick. That's why he went 3rd overall." I'm like, I'm seeing a fraction of the talent. Like, if we were talking about profile, he's going to get compared to Kyler Murray because of his size, and I'm like, man, I think Kyler Murray has way more talent than Kenny Pickett. Why are people using this performance to act like he's catapulted to the future starter of the Cleveland Browns?
I think that there's people
I would bet against that.
I think there's people who are exhausted with it. I think they're exhausted hearing guys like me get excited about a guy like Shedeur. And I think they want to go with somebody who's a little bit more classic. I know he's not the tallest guy out there, but he's more of a classic quarterback. He's played a lot of football there. And Shedeur's played a lot of football too. But he's played a lot of football. He's been in some big games, some real big games with big outcomes, big meaning to him. I mean, Shedeur's been in some nice games and big regular season games. Dylan Gabriel's had to play in the playoffs. and has been forced to play well in Big Ten championship games and things like that, and or SEC games and things like that. Like it is a different animal that Dillon Gabriel has had to play in. I have to admit that. So I think that they look at it more of a classic quarterback and going, okay, can I just get rid of the craziness? I think that's what some people are tired of, is the craziness, and I respect those feelings.
Yeah, but does any of that mean you're going to be good?
Like, no, I don't think so.
Fine, take the circus that Shedeur brings to the table. Okay, fine, but. All right. Does anybody, like, were we going into the draft thinking Dillon Gabriel is a future starter in the NFL? Was anybody saying that?
No.
So why are you saying it now? What have you seen from Dillon Gabriel?
Because I think it's a punchback to the craziness, and I have been a participant in it, the craziness of Shedeur. I think that they're firing back at it.
But I also saw people going after Darryl or Zach Jackson or anybody that was telling you how bad Gabriel was, even though everybody that was around was saying, man, Gabriel was...
Yeah, but those are the guys that we've had on. But we've had those guys on, and they've been vocal about it.
But the people going after them, because now he's second on the depth chart, Dillon Gabriel, I'm like, that's not, as the kids say, the flex that you think it is. Like, how many teams would Dillon Gabriel be the backup right now in the NFL? How many teams?
Well, that's interesting because
are we the only one?
I made a great big fight yesterday, and there's some people who definitely pushed back on me when I said this is the worst QB room in the NFL, and I should have said this is the best opportunity in the QB room in the NFL for Shedeur Sanders. And if that's the case, it's still the best opportunity in the NFL for Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, sure. What other teams would be lining up to make Dillon Gabriel their backup quarterback right now?
Don't you think one of the teams that's very secure in quarterback would bring him in?
Oh, you mean
to draft him late round?
Oh, yeah, but not to be like, hey, if our guy goes down,
right. No.
Like the Chiefs, if Patrick Mahomes goes down, Dillon Gabriel, the season's over. Like you probably as the Chiefs are probably not going anywhere.
As their backup. So.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So the season's over.
Yeah.
If Patrick goes down.
But wait a second. I've seen Dillon.
But that's how it's been.
I've seen Gardner Minshew play well plenty of times.
Right.
Like I don't have any.
I mean, they did it with Chad Henne. Give us a game. Give us a quarter. Right. They did it with Carson Wentz. Give us a game.
That's what you're hoping for. Like if a guy's out for a season, if Josh Allen or Mahomes or like if they're out for the year, like that's it.
Done.
Like you can maybe you'll find a Scott Mitchell in there or a Matt Castle or something, but man, for the most part, especially now with today's quarterbacks, we're playing more than
week
ever.
18 and you can go. Let's rally around the kid for 4 weeks.
And there's fewer great quarterbacks than I think there have been. Then I think that you're going to have yourself a significant problem in there. But no, Owen's right. Like a Chad Henne, like can you give me 2 games while we get this toe figured out? Gardner Minshew, can you give me a couple of games while we get this shoulder issue, this other shoulder issue figured out? And maybe you're hoping the same thing for Dillon Gabriel, but probably with a team that's not going to be starting all over with a new quarterback, as the Browns seem to be on a collision course to do. I want to be fair to Dillon Gabriel. So that's why I don't push back on the stuff with what people are aiming at with Darryl and Zach with us. People listen to us. Those guys have been on the show. Those guys have been firmly on the record about how bad they look. And they can stand by that. Because we'll find out more with Dillon Gabriel. But I'll tell you right now, with Dillon, the results on the field from what we've seen in the preseason have not been what we've been reported to about what's happened in practice.
Yeah, but
those
also
have been better results.
But also the stuff I've seen in the preseason don't indicate to me that he's ever going to be a full-time starter in the NFL. What am I seeing? What is everybody else seeing that I'm not seeing?
Again, I think that is probably a wish more than an actual expectation.
There were some nice. I saw people talking about the layering of this ball, and I'm like, okay, maybe on a few throws, Dillon Gabriel, you're like, whoa, okay, you saw some arm to justify him being drafted, but I also think you could see that from like 80% of the quarterbacks in preseason can all make a layered throw. Like that's just a fraction of what needs to be seen to ever sit there and pronounce that a guy's going to be a future starter in the NFL.
Jim in Syracuse, New York, listening on the free Odyssey app. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jim.
Good. I really feel like, I don't see Kenny Pickett winning 3 more games than Dillon Gabriel. So why not roll the dice on the younger guy? I mean,
agree.
He has performed well in the preseason. I just don't see Kenny Pickett bringing any more value to the Browns in 2025 than Dillon Gabriel, particularly if he gets 5 or 6 games under his belt where he's learning as the backup if something happens to Flacco, let's roll the dice and see what the kid can do. I mean,
I agree.
I don't see the downside.
I agree. When it comes to Kenny Pickett, I agree. I would have, if you would have said the same thing about Shedeur Sanders, I would have agreed. Again, I think that Kenny Pickett was basically a dam clogging up the water, and thank you for the call, Jim. I wanted to see the other two rookies if it's not going to be Joe.
Me and you were on the same page, totally. But remember, that it was Nathan Zagura. He's 15-10, right? He's only, how old? How old is Kenny Pickett?
26.
And his profile coming out of the draft was actually much better than Dylan Gabriel.
And when we talk about QB wins is a valid stat for backup QBs. It is. I'm not going to be like Mina Kimes about it and go ripping on QB wins when it comes to starting quarterbacks. I totally agree with her on that. But when it comes to backup QBs, you want to give me 15-10? Yeah, I'm going to make myself feel better. When my franchise QB goes down and Kenny Pickett has to come in and I'm sitting there shaking my glass of whiskey and you go, hey, Kenny's 15-10, I'm going to go, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about that. That's what you say for backup QBs. Not a guy who, hey, this guy could end up being our version of Sam Darnold or God knows who. Nobody... If media was saying that,
so do you think,
off base. If fans were saying that, I think there was probably few and far between.
Do you think Dylan Gabriel could go 15-10 with the Cleveland Browns over the next 25 games?
I think Dylan Gabriel can go 15. I think Dylan Gabriel can go 15-10 through his career. Is what I think Dylan Gabriel can.
So you mean not on the Browns, but on other
with
teams?
The Browns, no, because he won't have the chance to play that many games with the Cleveland Browns.
That's interesting because the caller was kind of saying, "Well, I have more faith that Dylan Gabriel. Why wouldn't you go with Dylan Gabriel?" It's like, well, I don't know that he's going to be better than Kenny Pickett.
And Dylan Gabriel will be a backup here until the wheels come off of Joe, and then he will be the backup for the starting quarterback next year.
Yeah.
That's what Dylan Gabriel is going to be. So through the course of an 8-year career, Dylan Gabriel might be 15-10 or 10-5 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But there's nowhere on earth that I see him being a franchise quarterback. That's not being mean-spirited. That's just being truthful. Let me get to Jay in Akron. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jay.
How you doing, Ken?
Doing okay, Jay. Go ahead.
Good. Well, I don't think you should be throwing Gabriel under the bus so quickly. We had Pickett penciled in as the first-string quarterback. He got traded to Oakland to the Raiders, Las Vegas now, for a fifth-rounder. So we have Flacco's going to play. He's going to play till he either gets hurt or the Browns are totally out of it. Then let Gabriel see what he can do. He's got a blank sheet of paper record. Let's see what he can do.
Well, I'm fine with him now.
Sanders there as the third-string quarterback. If he was the fourth quarterback, Sanders would have been on the non-dressing.
Yes. Well, Jay. I think that's the entire argument that we're making here, especially in the same thing with Jim in Syracuse called in. Like, I don't need to see Kenny Pickett. I'd rather just see Dylan Gabriel and his play in the preseason in the game against Carolina, or the game against Philadelphia, I should say, and then in the game on Saturday against the Rams. It did make me feel better. Like, all right, we could see what he has. I don't think he's anything. I don't think he's a franchise QB. I'm not. I just said it. I'm not going to turn it around just because you're on the phone and you're a nice guy. I don't think he's a franchise guy, but it's like, hey, again, if I play him this year, as of right now, Jay, I think you, me, Lima, everybody, and I thank you very much for the call. I think we all agree that our quarterback right now is in college football. So I got no problem in letting Dylan Gabriel get his fair share coming up. I hope that he is able to do somewhat of what he did in the preseason, because then I want to feel better about the pick. Because we're not out of the woods with the guys in charge right now. And if they're going to be around next year, which you can't guarantee me that they will or won't be, so if they are, I want to feel better about Dylan Gabriel. And I want to feel better about the guys in charge. So I want to see Dylan Gabriel and see if he was worth a third-round pick. Like, at the end of it, I can go, hey, man, you have an 8-year career. You go 15-10 as a starter in the NFL. Yeah, you're definitely worth a third-round pick. Definitely as a QB. 216-474-0092. I'm going to get to some of you guys. Should we put more respect on Dylan Gabriel's name? And at 7:45, the wheels might have come off in a very public blow-up for the Guardians. It's about last night at 7:45 with Mike Florio desperately wanting this to happen with the Browns. What is that? I'll tell you next on The Fan.
XTENDAV.com, Extend Technologies, where I can tell you right now, my wife is at home watching us on the 85-inch Sony Bravia TV thanks to the YouTube stream. She's doing it on that smart TV, which is just hanging up there. I'm lying. She's probably watching kid shows with the kids, but she has the possibility. I mean, it's all up there right now because Extend Technologies came in.
My wife watches Deer Hunter with the kids every morning before school.
What a feel-good vibe to get you ready for school. Either way, Extend Technologies, they've been in my home. They've been in your home. They've been in the Halley building. They have been
having trouble bringing the guys around as they've been shut out in the last 3 games, something that hasn't happened to the club in 34 years. They'll look to chalk a win tonight against Tampa Bay in Game 2 of the series tonight at 6:40. Rookie Parker Messick will make his second big league start for Cleveland. Right-hander Shane Baz will get the ball for the Rays. Want to catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite The Fan on the Odyssey app for all of today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Matt Corrali.
Florio saying weird stuff again. Said it on Baskin and Phelps yesterday, coming up in like 10 seconds. Sports Talk of the Fan, presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Greco coming up in just about 40 minutes. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. He was on with Baskin and Phelps yesterday. This man is a dog to a bone. I like Florio. I'm entertained by Florio.
I love his creativity.
Florio offered me to kick him off the show one time in an argument. It was the Myles Garrett going to jail thing. Florio is a creative person. And he tried to do it with Shedeur during the draft. Then he tried to do it again with Shamar Stewart. And now, damn it, he's going to get his work in when it comes to Quinshon Judkins. He was asked on Baskin and Phelps yesterday why the Browns haven't signed Judkins amid an NFL investigation. I want you to hear this first before we go to the big one. Hit it.
I think the frontline reality for Judkins and the Browns is the fact that if he would show up, they'd probably put him on paid leave while they figure out what they're going to do about this personal conduct policy issue. Even though he's not going to be prosecuted, the league still does its own investigation. And if his alleged victim is willing to cooperate with the league, then he potentially ends up being suspended. It happened to Ezekiel Elliott. He was never arrested. He was never even sued. He ended up being suspended 6 games by the NFL. But the reality is, as that plays out, however long it takes or short it takes, I think the Browns are delaying signing him because the first order of business is you got to put him on paid leave if you're going to bring him to camp. So why bother to even start down the road of signing the contract until they know how many games he's going to miss?
Before we go to the other clip, how often have you been asked about Quinshon Judkins?
Actually, not that much.
I'm asked about it daily. Are you serious?
Yeah, just the quarterback stuff is so much more, and
those are usually opinions. But I get asked about Quinshon Judkins and his future on a daily basis, and I'm like, guys, I know as much as you do.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's definitely weird because Florio says he would be put on paid leave immediately. Is that from the Browns or from the commissioner's exempt list?
It's probably the commissioner's
exempt list. Yeah, because the Browns would not sign him and then put him on leave.
No.
That would make no sense whatsoever. No. And I think Mary Kay had an update, which wasn't much of an update at all yesterday, just checking in on the league. The league
taking
saying
shots at Mary Kay.
There's still the update was that she talked to the league. And the
she
league
can see you on YouTube now. You better watch your face.
And there was it's that there was no update at all from the league. The league is saying the investigations are
Roger
continuing.
can see you on the YouTube now as well, so you better watch your face. He's even more powerful than that. But Florio went further, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, did it with Shedeur during the draft. Did it with Shamar Stewart during camp. Third time, maybe it's a charm for Mike Florio and Quinshon Judkins.
And if Judkins really wanted to go back and play college football, you start the process by sending a letter to the NCAA demanding that they abandon a rule that you believe is an antitrust violation. You give them a short time frame to respond. If they don't, you go to court. You seek a temporary restraining order. You seek a preliminary injunction. You get a ruling that he's allowed to go back and play. Even if it's during this season, he could do it if he wanted to do it. It's an option, and I guess that's the point. Even if a guy didn't do it, even if Shedeur Sanders didn't decide once he got through 4 rounds of the draft to say, I'm just going to go back to Colorado next year. It's an option that wasn't there in the past. And one of these days, one of these players is going to take advantage of that option.
Someone's going to do it at some point. I think that Florio wants to be the one that gives the idea. Okay, someone's going to do it.
Let me ask something, because it seems really far-fetched that he would do this. At this stage, I mean, it's late August. The Buckeyes. First of all, is he even saying would he definitely go to Ohio State?
No.
Is that
He
spot
just said back to college.
Yeah, is that spot even open for him? I do think Quinshon Judkins is way better than C.J. Donaldson and who else? I know they have young Bo Jackson and James Peoples is your starter, it looks like, right now. And Ohio State had a much better running back situation last year going into the season, and I think they have going this year. But it's Ohio State. They assume they're going to reload every single year.
Well, that's Brady Quinn about that 905.
So what would be the situation if you're Judkins? Would it be worth it? Would there be a spot at one of the top teams that is opened up right now for him, and could he work his way into a first-round pick next year? How much more guaranteed money?
How much money is he going to get from a college team with all this going on?
Not even. I'm not even talking about that in terms of NIL. I mean, maybe he could get some NIL, but I'm talking about improving his draft stock. Is there a chance he could improve his draft stock?
No, I don't think so.
Could he go from a second rounder to a first rounder?
Well, you went back to college, so again, to get in on a roster now, aren't you basically taking a year off? If you're Quinshon
you're
Judkins?
telling me a team couldn't take him, or would he? Well, the eligibility too. Like, how would the eligibility work?
I think I know we don't talk. Kind of looking at how many rules are there?
Well,
are there any rules?
That is true, but a team and their compliance would have to.
The rule used to be, and I don't know if it still is for the NCAA, once you signed with an agent, you couldn't be an amateur athlete anymore. But obviously, you can sign with an agent whenever you want now. So that's why he's bringing it up, right? But regardless of if he went back, he would still have a pending NFL suspension over his head, and I think that would hurt, any draft. Especially if he's a fringy round guy, right?
Yes.
I don't know that he can get much better than where he was drafted.
I mean, listen, I don't know if this year's going to happen, so it's not like I'm not that desperate to bring in Quinshon Judkins. It sucks that he's not with the team, and it sucks that he put himself in this situation.
What do you mean you're not sure this season is even happening? Why is this so
we're still
egregious?
we're still in this holding pattern.
Yeah.
And again, you're the one who keeps bringing up that I'm not arguing with you about that, but I mean, you keep bringing up that they have photos, so they might be seeing these photos going, how do we handle something like this? So it could be a significant suspension.
I imagine they've attempted to talk to, the alleged victim as well. Mm-hmm. We have no idea if she is going to, collaborate with them, cooperate at all. So, but I'm not seeing of the things like Mike Hall last year, there was a gun involved. There was no gun involved here. He got 5 games? How could this be a season? I don't
know
really
if it can be a season, but as well as I do when it comes to the NFL, things that can get out in the public, they're in the court of public opinion. They are not in the court of law. So if all of a sudden they go, hey, you know what? Charge has been dropped. He said, she said, no penalty. I don't think that would be the case, but say it were to be the case, and then all of a sudden some bad photos come out there. The NFL is not in that business. They learned that lesson the hard way with Ray Rice, and they don't want to do it again.
The bad thing now for Judkins is, it's not even going to be a time served. The suspension starts when he signs a contract because there's no time served. He hasn't been suspended or anything. So we're just delaying. That's why he needs to. He needs to sign a contract. Are the Browns refusing to really negotiate here?
I think they're waiting and see until the NFL comes to them and tells them what they think the penalty is going to be.
I think that same thing.
This is massively confusing. Say he did actually want to go to college. You got to think about the miles that are on you. He got money to go to Ole Miss, and then he got more money to go to Ohio State. So he's got money. But if you're going back to college, well, the season has technically already started.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're getting back there and who can offer you what and who's going to offer you what. Now, I think it's probably in your best interest to go along.
These teams are pretty tapped out
with your year. Exactly. So I think it's probably in your best interest. If you want to sit out the year and go back to college, I guess you can do that. If you want to sit out the year and try to refile for the draft, I guess you can do that. But it's probably in your best interest to just move forward and deal with all this and then get it behind you and start your NFL career. Because I don't know what's left for you back in college. You might be able to make more money in a year than what you were going to make. But
okay, if you're the
maybe
Browns,
that's still the case.
If you're the Browns, so we've talked about it from Judkins' perspective. If you're the Browns, are you playing hardball right now, or don't you just want to get him in?
I don't know if it's but I don't know if it's hardball.
Because if you can get him in, then the suspension, once it gets wrapped up, can start. We can talk about, or the commissioner's exempt list. That process can get started at least. It can't get started until you get him in. But if they're playing hardball,
they can suspend him until he gets a contract with the Browns?
No. What I mean is the commissioner's exempt list can get started.
Okay.
And then they can force the action. And if the NFL is holding him out, then at least you can get time served or whatever. But none of that can get started until you bring him in. So to me, if the Browns are playing hardball, they're just kind of screwing themselves.
But would you say you're not going to be Chris Matthews and you're not going to play hardball? Then are you signing him to the guaranteed contract that he wanted?
Well, I told you that. Who cares? It's Jimmy Haslam's money, right? Don't we say that all the time? Jimmy Haslam's money. It's not my money. Who cares? He's got more money than anybody. He's liquid. He has more money. We have a strategic advantage with the Browns. I hear this from every Browns homer every time.
Here we go,
every time. Do I not hear it? Every time. We have more money that puts us in a fortuitous advantage to be able to throw. So let's start with the advantage.
Don't be silly.
Am I getting the advantage on Judkins?
Don't be silly.
Or are we screwing ourselves by waiting and then we don't get games out of them?
Okay, now I need you to actually pretend that you're a general manager for the Cleveland Browns, because you can't just sit there and say, if you're Andrew Berry, well, it's not my money, so I'll sign you to whatever. No general manager is actually going to do that.
So the money does matter now.
The money matters to the general manager. I'm asking you to act like a general manager here, okay?
I've heard differently from many Browns people.
Obviously, you've heard differently from many Browns people, because I think the fan doesn't care. Just sign him to the contract. I'm talking about you as a general manager here.
I'm just saying, as Anthony Lima, let's get him in.
Okay.
Let's get him in. Start the process. Why would we wait?
But I have to have you put yourself in Andrew Berry's shoes is what I need you to do. So if you were Andrew Berry, are you going to give him guaranteed money?
You bring him in. I need a running back. I need a running back.
But he's not going to be available to you.
Let's go.
I need a bunch of running backs. I don't know if he's going to be available to me.
This delays his availability. Every minute we play hardball delays his availability is what I'm saying.
Is it hardball if I don't know what the NFL is going to do? And I can't get it, even if I wanted to. Say I was like, hey, man, you put yourself in a bad spot. You put us in a bad spot here with your behavior, no matter what.
Yep.
And so I can't sign you to the money that's there. It takes two people. Like, he's got to grab a pen and sign the contract. I can't just force him to come back to Cleveland.
So what I wonder, kind of in all of this talk, like the Browns know everything that there is to know, right? They've done an investigation, right?
Hey, I can't say that over the last how many years. Who the hell am I to say they know everything?
They went and obtained a polygraph for one of the players. So they've done the investigative work on other players, and they gave that guy guaranteed money.
Fool me once. Shame on you.
Do the Browns know something?
Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again.
Does this worry you a little bit, Kenny? Do the Browns know more information, and they're like, ooh, boy,
I don't know.
This suspension could be way worse. We don't want to do it. That's what I'm saying.
Remember,
but it leads us to jump to these conclusions.
Did it or did it not come out? It came out later that there was a history, that there was somehow a history of this behavior. So are the Browns just running with a pen here? Here you go, sign anything.
Wait, what do you mean?
They had said that that she had claimed that there was a history of behavior like this with Quinshon Judkins. That was what was claimed by her. So now they don't know what everything else is going on there. So there's something. It's like, hey, you know what? These are people. You're in a people business. It's terrible. It's unfortunate what allegedly went down, but that's the business that you're in. Okay, fine. I guess I could try to feel bad for him on that case, but they're a professional sports team, so I don't. So now are you really going to go forward and run and try to sign him to things? Because you're saying, well, do they know everything? They should know everything. I don't know if they know everything.
Man, if there was a big gap in their evaluations and all the character stuff, if they didn't do their due diligence like they should have, then that comes back on them.
Well, according to the tweets I see, they're doing their due diligence on everything. But I don't think we have the full story yet. And because we don't have the full story yet, I don't know what you can sign the guy to. If he's just crossing his arms, or his agent is just crossing his arms here and saying, absolutely not, then I don't know if you could just offer him exactly what he wants.
It's a terrible start to a relationship.
Well, with the Nick Emanuori contract, what was it, like 13.6 guaranteed? That's not a lot of money. Or 11.6 or something like that guaranteed. That's still not a lot of money for a second-round pick, a high second-round pick. And it is off to a rocky relationship. But, I mean, I until the NFL gets back to me on what they're going to do, how can I sign the guy? And is there something there? Did they ask Florio? Is there something there where he might want to wait until the NFL gets back to them on something? Like, I don't know that part either. Like, it's history tells me it's time to rip the Browns. But this situation may tell me I still need more information, and the NFL ain't giving me any. So maybe we'll know more by Thursday by the time Mary Kay joins us. 216-474-0092. Like, that's it. This went way longer than I thought it was going to do, but that's where I'm at. So he's not available to you, so I'm moving on with Dylan Sampson, and I'm hoping that Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford can help me out. And who was the guy they brought into camp that looked pretty good? Who was the other fire plug? I don't know. He might be cut by 4 o'clock today, so I'm not sure. I don't want to start saying names that aren't going to be there.
Pierre Strong's been here.
Well, Pierre Strong, but there was the other guy that his name escapes me right now that I'm sure I'm going to open up to a lot of.
Done so well that we can't
check the because his name escapes me. Okay, I know Aiden Huntington, but I don't know the. Come on, they got to be putting it on the YouTube page right now.
We're a little bit. We've got a little delay.
Bit of a delay, Ken,
because they're taking the
broadcasting.
They're taking the Odyssey broadcast feed, and so it's always going to be a little behind. Plus, we have wild cannons on this show. We have people calling up. We got to make sure.
Amani Marshall, Amani Marshall, fine dressed Amani Marshall. Thank you.
If it helps right now on ESPN, the second on the depth chart is Quinshon Judkins.
Oh boy,
probably want to update
for a team built on the running game, huh?
No, he's not. Is Jim Brown first on the depth chart, if that's what they're doing?
How does this make you feel about the opener against Cincinnati?
Henry Ford is first.
What are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing. The guy's not on the team. He doesn't have a contract with the team. He's second on the depth chart. This is ESPN's, not the Browns.
Here come
Just
the
to see
Marshalls.
whether or not-
The Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall.
Thank you guys very much for watching and listening and watching today. John Greco going to join us at 8 o'clock. Hold on. Oh.
Marshall. Sean says Marshall. Stadium Sports Cards. Marshall.
John.
Roger King. Marshall.
I said, John, what do you want to get off your chest? He goes, sorry, getting kids out the door for school. We talked to John about getting the kids out the door for school.
And then John texted Marshall.
Marshall. John Greco going to join us at 8:01. What would he do with the Quinshon Judkins situation? Ken Carman, Toastmaster General, and about last night coming up in 5 minutes, where if Tanner Bibby's going to act like a child, Stephen Vogt's going to treat him like one. It's coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Mentality Health. And if you're feeling like you've lost your edge, your energy, focus, if you need assistance with any of that, hey, I got good news for you. Mentality Health is there for you right now online. And unlike the other online-only services, Mentality offering in-person
North at Gent is closed due to an accident with heavy congestion from Route 21. Slowdowns northbound on 176 from Spring Road to West 14th. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
You'll hear the latest from Browns practice as it happens. Basket and Phelps, weekdays at 10, 92.3 The Fan.
So much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
I really share in our fans' disappointment, frustration. Honestly, I'm embarrassed.
They've been through some tough battles, right? They know what the playoffs looks like. This team's been battle tested in the playoffs.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Boy, it was a tough night at the ballpark. Not only did it rain, not only did the Guardians get shut out for the third consecutive night, but Stephen Vogt and Tanner Bybee having a bit of an exchange that was caught on the Guardians TV broadcast.
In between innings, Tanner Bybee visibly upset, frustrated. Stephen Vogt.
Yeah, well, he was right behind him.
It was not a pleasant conversation.
No, but you know what? That's what's been going on with Tanner Bybee. He came in and then said that, and the manager says, no. He put that to an end quickly.
Now, there's some speculation between the two, but Vogt addressed the matter in his post-game press conference.
I mean, emotions are high right now. Emotions are high with everybody. Tanner's one of the most competitive, fiery people I've ever been around, and he came in trying to pump the boys up, and I told him, not now, take it downstairs. And so we've already talked, we're good. It's one of those fiery moments that happens in competition in a long season, and Tanner's has been and will continue to be one of our best, and we know the competitive fire is what drives him, and like I said, emotions are high right now.
Now, Ken said it earlier, I think the thoughts on the postseason are done. I agree with him on that, and I'll say this too, I think Bybee's time of being an ace is done. I'm out on him being an ace.
Like forever?
Yeah. I can't. I mean, unless he makes a big turnaround next season, I just cannot see. I'll take Gavin Williams or Slade Ciccone as a future ace over these two guys, over him right now.
I think it's time to power rank the aces, personally.
My goodness.
I think it's time. Well, Mitch has already given his.
Well, Mitch has written his entire career off, apparently. Boy. The young rotation.
Chances of aces.
Yeah. Can I still have some faith in Gavin Williams?
This is your power rankings. You can do whatever you want, brother.
I'll go Gavin 1. I'm not selling Bybee completely, so I'm going with him number 2, and then Ciccone number 3 right now?
The Italian, you're going against the Italian.
Is that
you
fair?
turned your back on the family.
Yeah.
Williams, Ciccone, Bybee. Because he wasn't trying to get anybody worked up. He was trying to bitch.
That makes sense.
He was bitching at him.
And I'm not one of these people that are complaining about Bybee getting heated in the dugout. I like the fieriness from him last night. The problem is I just need the stats to back him up, and the stats are not backing those up right now. We got 8 hits, 6 runs last night.
But I don't think he was trying to get anybody worked up. If he was trying to get people worked up and get them going, then Stephen Vogt would have let him do it. You don't just follow a guy and start cussing at him and telling him to stop it if he's trying to get people worked up and trying to take ownership of the baseball team and trying to give a leadership speech. You don't do something like that.
No, that's true. You also have guys like Cal Steffen who are potentially up-and-coming prospects that could be future aces for...
Well, wait a minute. Now you're throwing in a totally different category. How can I know that he's going to be a future ace? He's just up-and-coming.
Here we go. Power rank the guys you don't know.
That could be future aces.
Number 1, Amani Marshall. Number 2.
Marshall. They're still coming in. Thank you, YouTube. We do appreciate. We're live streaming YouTube for the first time ever here at the station. We made station history. And we are getting comments, and we are seeing those comments. Boy, they are tough to keep up with. They are going fast. 537 boys for checking in.
537.
Yes, they were.
Hey.
Now, somebody also offered to be a moderator on YouTube.
Saw that.
Do we need that, or do we want to invite all the negativity?
That is common among YouTube and Twitch streamers.
Okay.
That's for like the millions and millions of viewers yet. We're not there yet, but we'll definitely get there at some point.
Can you moderate the comments, Mitch?
No faith.
I'm currently moderating it as it goes along. I have to get access to the fan YouTube account because I'm only doing it from my account right now.
We trust you with that?
Sure.
How are you moderating it right now?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm just looking at comments right now. I'm not actually
you're
moderating.
just reading it like everything.
Well, you have to be a mod.
Yes.
You can't just not mod.
We should get Cavs a mod.
Anybody
do the mod.
I'd rather have a mod be the mod.
I'm surveying the live stream chat.
We don't need a surveyor. We need a moderator.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, then give me
George
access
Washington all of a sudden.
Well, then give me access to the fan YouTube account, and I'll do it.
And my boy.
I don't think I want to give you that type of power.
It's just
I don't
somebody
think you deserve that type of power.
If somebody uses naughty language Nutta Boys right there on YouTube. Are you going to do your best to make sure to get rid of them?
YouTube already cracks down that enough as it is to a crazy
Not from
point.
what I'm saying.
Do they go after people for bad language on comments? Live chats.
Even on videos
Test it
too.
out. Start
on
using bad
on
language
videos
on
too.
the
You
YouTube stream
You
right
have
now.
to you have to use certain words, or else if you use the actual words, you get like demonetized
I could see.
or banned.
I could see the Hulk Hogan meme right now with the spray paint.
Never mind.
All right.
Never mind.
We have some sports to talk about here. One of the stories being this upcoming college football game between number 1 Texas and number 2 Ohio State at the Shoe. We had a quote from Arch Manning yesterday in which he is confident in the Longhorns' ability to take everything from the other teams this season.
Are you mentally prepared to have that huge X on your back all season long where everybody is going to be coming for you?
I mean, I think that's all of us at Texas, and I think we kind of try to shift the narrative. We're going for everyone else. Target's not on our back. We got the red dot on everyone else.
For the second day in a row, we've had a tough talking opposing Ohio State quarterback after the Underwood comments yesterday.
I was telling Kenny on the air, what an awesome game. Awesome to see these two teams, their uniforms, their bands, their fan bases, their traditions in the opener. And then Kenny's like, well, how are you feeling about it? I'm like, I have no idea. Are any of these quarterbacks good?
Doesn't even matter. It's so early.
And does it even matter? So, we got to be so reconditioned as college football fans, especially the older ones like us, where it's a new quarterback every year, it would seem, for these teams. Ohio State, how many quarterbacks have they gone through in the last 15 years? It seems like one
All
either
of them.
every year or every other year.
17 the last
Except
15.
for JT Barrett. He got to play a couple of years.
Yes.
Yeah, JT Barrett.
And then
Okay, so 14.
Braxton Miller had that spin move in a game because after the injury, he was a wide receiver all of a sudden.
That was awesome. It was against Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Which, again, if your guys if you're 500 or below, knock off the Enter Sandman. It doesn't work. If you're not a good college football team, you're not allowed to do those things. It should be that simple. Again, Clemson, you can't ride the bus if you're a bad team.
Ohio State is debuting new music thanks to the new athletic director this year.
That's true.
We've got Camp. Remember? Did you delete it from the
8 years
system?
behind with the hey-ho
We
music.
don't have rights.
Oh, that's right. We can't play it. Can we play Best Damn Band in the Land? Do we even have the rights to them?
No,
anyway,
come on.
so
we will get our own in-studio band.
So I have no idea. Is Julian saying, is he good? Is Arch Manning? I've seen him play twice.
Does he look good? I think is all that matters
Saturday
right now.
on Big Noon Kickoff live on Fox and Fox 8.
Well, unless you have YouTube, and we say hello to everybody on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, hello on YouTube.
Well, that's the next story I was going to get to here. This, according to reports, a potential impasse between Fox and YouTube TV could affect the status of Fox, FS1, and Big Ten Network from YouTube TV's lineup, which could impact a lot of people into watching Saturday's contest between the Buckeyes and the Longhorns here. Why does this always happen right before a major sporting event
because
like this?
This is the leverage both sides need to get this done because they want to scare people so they can drive up the prices.
Because nobody cares that they can't see the Big Bang Theory for the 48th time.
Notice, Mitch, you didn't say, why does this never happen for the Akron-Ohio State game? Because nobody would care.
It's OU and Ohio State this year.
This year it's
that's
Ohio,
the big Maction game we get at the Short Shoe this year.
I got to tell you, though, over the last couple of years, they have started letting this leak into the games. Like before, it's like, guys, they're gonna figure this out, and always like the Friday night, like we've come to an agreement in the 11th hour. I mean, there was a couple of years ago we had the NFL situation going on there, and that was, oh boy, that was rough.
That was a few weeks, right?
When they're when they're willing to start letting actual because live sports is like the last bastion of live TV.
Last tune in.
I'm sure there's a couple of people who watch American Warrior. What is it? The workout warrior. What is that?
Yeah,
the Trojan Warrior.
Yeah, the Trojan Horse Warriors.
Wait, wasn't Joe Thomas on this?
Yeah, the American Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior.
American Ninja Warrior. That's what it is.
I think Joe Thomas was on American Gladiators.
It was Xena Princess Warriors.
There's
Kevin Sorbo on that one too, or is he all political these days?
There's a few game shows
Dean
out
Kane's
there.
Also
there was a Highlander.
But if they're willing to dive into live sports over these things, like that's a scary proposition for a sports fan here. So
what about Willow?
Saturday's on the table. Xena Warrior Princess?
Willow was the little one, wasn't he?
Yeah, Warwick Davis.
No. Who? Why?
Warwick Davis.
Why does he know the name?
Willow.
That's a great pull,
Why
Mitch.
of all the
Way
things
to
do
go.
you know the name?
Well done, Mitch.
We don't know the name of the running back,
Val
but we know
Kilmer?
that guy's name.
I found it out. Okay?
He got
Good
it.
God. Amani Marshall. Great, now he's
going to show
Hopefully
up
he
in the
won't end
studio.
up. Hopefully he won't end up like Deontay Johnson. What's the pass game going to do with Deontay Johnson? Go on, Mitch.
I was going to say, my last story was
Fill the air with talk.
The extensions that happened last night between Washington and, Terry McLaurin, 3 years, $96 million.
Scary Terry got paid.
And Trey Hendrickson gets $14 million and a raise, a $30 million deal for 1 year. So he can be restricted
in the future,
free agent.
But nothing after this year.
Mitch, I have a question. In the future, anytime we get these stories in camp from a team where it's pretty obvious they need to sign the guy, should we not do the hypothetical? Should the Browns trade for him?
No, we got to do it.
We did occupy, if you go back and look at the archives, we occupied a lot of time doing just that.
We did not occupy a lot of time because you and I were both half-hearted.
Because you were talking about Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. With Terry McLaurin was a bit of a conversation because he's a former Ohio State player, and I think he's the most underrated wide receiver over the last decade.
He is awesome.
But, you knew Trey Hendrickson wasn't going to happen, so, what the hell, right? Is that it for about last night?
It is.
Absolutely fantastic, Mitch. You should really be proud of yourself.
Mitch, is that work, dude? Is he still alive? Can we get him on?
Who?
Who was the guy? Willow?
Amani Marshall?
Oh, he's still...
No, not Marshall. He's alive.
Yes.
Deontay Johnson.
I don't know if he'll make the team, but he's alive.
Willow Nightingale? Is that a wrestler?
Willow Bay?
Oh, I've been listening to a podcast if I can remember that. Willow who?
Well, do you remember Willow Bay from NBC?
Who's Willow Bay?
She used to be on all the coverage with Ahmad Rashad.
No.
Okay.
I remember Summer Sanders and
Summer Sanders is another one. She's a swimmer.
She was. Are we done with 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon here?
Yeah, we're done.
All right. Brady Quinn.
I already referenced Kevin Sorbo.
905. Why are you referencing Kevin Sorbo?
He comes up on my For You page a lot.
He does he?
Him and Dean Cain.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Why is that?
Did you see Dean Cain in uniform trying to scale that wall?
Coming up at 8:01, John Greco going to join us on the show. What would he do with the Browns quarterbacks and Amani Marshall and all the other things that I'm trying to tease so I can get out of that last statement? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app and watch us at work on YouTube for absolutely free. Daisy dips, French onion dip, tasting
as he'll be making his second start in his major league career. And for the Rays, it will be right-hander Shane Baz getting the ball to start things off for Tampa Bay. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan from the University Hospital Sports Desk. I'm Matt Corrali.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, get on out of here. Scoot, get the hell out. Sent to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 5th-round pick. Kenny Pickett gone. And I had to say at the beginning of the show, we are 1 QB closer to Shedeur Sanders. Yeah! Yeah! We're also 1 QB closer to Deshaun Watson. John Greco joins us right now on the Fan Hotline.
Yay, boo.
It's so fun to do.
Go get your slide whistle and make it slide down.
Don't you call
Mine's
for
in the
slide
locker.
whistles, you bastard, because I got one right there. Hello, John.
Guys, good morning. Happy roster cut day, and we are here. I mean, after a really long preseason, which felt like an eternity, it's exciting to actually talk about Week 1 football. It's on the horizon.
I thought it went pretty quickly. I felt camp went pretty quickly. I mean, hell, you barely saw them. They were out of town for 2 weeks. There wasn't a chance for a grind there. What'd you think of the Kenny Pickett trade?
In a weird way, I was a little surprised. I think the injury kind of maybe nudged them toward that decision because, the three of us have talked and the folks who listen to your show, we've been talking about this for several weeks, and his lack of availability, I think, never really pushed Joe Flacco or forced their hand to try to make a tough decision. And I think at some point, there was the 2 rookies kind of traded weeks, so of who looked good, who didn't, and we were hitting the panic button on both of them at times. And then it was like, oh, okay, these guys could both be serviceable backups, and we know they're going to get an opportunity at some point this season. So I just think that injury, the hamstring, and how it potentially could linger, forced their hand. They went with Joe, which, maybe a lot of people didn't think that was ever going to be a competition or issue or tough decision. But I was a little surprised. So now you're going in with, your 2 rookie draft picks at 2 and 3. And Joe Flacco, 4 years old, 17th or 18th year. I can't even remember what it is now. 18. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what everybody expected. But I thought that they would have kept Pickett and gone with 4. I know that's a little bit unconventional and a head scratcher to some, but just having some veteran kind of experience and leadership there in the event that they have to make a change from Joe, I thought would have been a little bit easier transition into the rookie debut. But, I feel like, the team obviously feels that they were, ready to move on, and those guys are ready to have an opportunity if and when they're ready to move away from Joe. And let's hope that comes way late in the season, or he has the flu, like a Michael Jordan flu game type situation. Let's hope they're not in the dumps record wise, and then you're forced to go to a rookie, and then we have all these awkward conversations with the season's off the rails. Let's hope Joe goes in there, looks terrific, looks polished, looks sharp, like we're expecting him to be. And this conversation happens, way later in the season.
If Kenny would have been healthy and Kenny played, do you believe that there's a possibility they could have moved off of Joe Flacco, traded him, or traded even one of the 2 rookies?
I don't know if they would have traded one of the 2 rookies, but I do. I honestly think that would have been a conversation and a decision they would have had to have made. And look, we'll never know. None of us will ever truly know. Maybe the players don't even know. I think it's one of those things where this front office, the staff likes to kind of have everything out on the table and have all options open and available. And it just never happened. Like I said, we will never know. The injury really kind of, derailed any true quarterback competition. And Joe looked good. I mean, let's be honest. Every time that I was watching or everything you heard out of training camp, he looked good. He looked polished. He looked prepared and ready. And that's what we've talked about, the veterans on the team and the guys that are on this team that were, convinced to maybe stay on. And I'm talking some of the veterans, Joel, Miles, with that whole situation in the spring. Maybe that was the pitch that, hey, we're rolling with Joe, and we know what we're going to expect with him, and we're trying to get some of that magic, that playoff magic that he brought here a few years ago. And that was the sell. And that's what we're going to hope to find out.
John Greco with us right now talking Browns. So after Flacco, obviously it's Dillon Gabriel right now as the number 2. Dillon was all over the place this camp, had some really, really rough moments for a while, then kind of blossomed the week of Philadelphia. And then we saw it kind of come to a head this last preseason game where, he had some formidable drives, some nice throws. Also, was at times a little inaccurate too. So you saw a mixed bag overall. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. And sometimes we just have to take a step back. And Browns fans and media, we've been in this situation since the three of us were born. And we're so hungry for a winning quarterback and someone that can just be the chosen one and the guy that we can put up a statue of, on the lakefront and just be our savior. And sometimes we just have to take a step back. Dillon Gabriel's a 3rd-round draft pick. I think it's a little bit unfair and unrealistic to assume that he's just going to come in and look like, Andrew Luck or somebody that's a 1st-round pick, a top 10 pick. There's a reason why he wasn't a 1st or 2nd rounder. So what does he give you, though? I think, you started to mention some of the things, and we've talked about them on your show. He's a very smart football player. He's very in tune with the offense. He can lead. He can execute. He's a quiet leader, someone that's organized, can make the accurate throws, can get rid of the ball on time, which is very, very important in today's NFL because there are some absolute dogs on the other side of the ball rushing the passer. So, yes, does he have, is he not the ideal height? Of course. But can he be a smart player and overcome some of those challenges? I think so. And when this offensive line is healthy, I think that they are going to give him adequate time, or whoever's back there, adequate time to deliver. And the question really remains is, what about the weapons and the guys in that room on the field surrounding him? Are they going to get open and make enough plays to give any of these quarterbacks a chance to succeed? But that's kind of what I see from Dillon Gabriel. Of course, he had kind of a rocky preseason, as any rookie quarterback would. How rare is it that you see a quarterback, or especially a rookie, come out and just be lights out from day one? I think it's rare, and I think it's kind of unrealistic to expect that, especially out of a 3rd rounder. So I'm excited to see what he has and what his future holds. And I know the guys in that offensive room love him. They like the way he prepares. They like his leadership qualities and characteristics. And I think he hopefully has a bright future.
All right, let the record show. We've talked about Kenny Pickett first because of the news. We then moved on to Joe Flacco. And then it was Kenny Pickett's time. So Shedeur Sanders.
How dare you?
Your thoughts?
Look, where he is on the depth chart right now and what we saw out of him on the preseason, I feel bad that it ended the way it did for him. It kind of, kind of skidded out of there toward the end of the preseason, and he had some tough plays. And I will kind of echo what I just said about Dillon Gabriel. I mean, you're seeing a guy that was taken in the 5th round who, shows flashes, who I think could be a quality NFL quarterback, but he's got to kind of get away from some of those things that we saw on tape, drifting back out of the pocket. And I know a lot of people are arguing about the guys that were in front of him, the offensive line, which a lot of those guys, not going to be on the team or not going to see, a lot of action on Sundays. But you just saw things where, when he had success earlier in the preseason, we talked about some of the things that I was telling you guys that made him successful. in the pocket, being firm in the pocket, trusting the guys around him. It looked like he was a little bit shaky in this last preseason game, and rightfully so. There was flashes of other teams' helmets all over the place. So, I don't blame the guy, but, you can't retreat like that, and it's not college anymore, and it's not Tecmo Bowl. You can't just run back 20 yards and give up sacks. It makes everybody look bad, and then people want to just point fingers. But, he is where he is on the depth chart. He's going to be on this roster. We're going to hope to see him develop over the year, and who knows? Maybe he's going to get an opportunity earlier than later. We don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully Joe Flacco's in there and they're competitive and winning games and in the mix and in the question. And we're talking about competing. But he is where he is right now. Moving into week one, it's going to be put to bed, and he's just going to be in the meeting rooms preparing for each week and preparing for each opponent. He's going to see how you do that in season from Joe Flacco and see how you get on that regular schedule and learn and become a better pro. And I think that he's a guy that now, is probably hungry for that next opportunity. Maybe that left a bad taste in his mouth in that last preseason game, and rightfully so. So the next time we see him, it won't be next preseason where it's the fourth string offensive line against, fourth string defensive line. He's going to be in there. He's going to be in there with some dogs. So, I'm excited for that next opportunity, but hopefully it's later than sooner.
What goes through, John Greco joining us on the show, what goes through the veteran's head once you begin the youth movement at that position at quarterback? What goes, for Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, Joel Bitonio, Jack Conklin, what are they thinking?
Yeah, they've been around that tree. So, when you're on the offensive line and a guy goes down or is replaced or decisions are made or whatever have you, and you have a young guy in there, your attention to detail has to improve. And I don't want to say your play style has to change, but there's talk in the offensive line room, and the position coach knows it. I mean, he comes in and he says, "Hey, look, we got to hold our blocks a little bit longer. We have to execute better. We have to be sharper. We're probably going to see some more elaborate defenses, some different looks to try to confuse a young quarterback," because Joe Flacco has seen literally every defense and blitz and pressure and situation imaginable. But has Dylan Gabriel, has Shedeur Sanders? No. So if those guys are in there, that's what offensive linemen can expect. They can expect junk on defense, and they're going to have to respond and react and pick it up, because their job then becomes so paramount in protecting this guy, keeping him upright, and giving him a chance to execute. And that's really what their mindset is. It's as easy as that.
John Greco joining us here on the Fan Hotline. All right, was there anybody who stuck out to you offensively, defensively in the preseason that we should be paying attention to?
Well, being a MAC guy, Harold Fannin, obviously didn't get a whole lot of reps, but I'm really excited about him. Obviously
does he make it? I'm going to point this question to a different direction. If things ain't going our way, does he make it easier to trade away David Njoku halfway through the year?
Gosh.
Yeah, putting you on the spot.
That definitely, that conversation will definitely make their decision easier. Yes, more difficult. I think that comes on the table, as we've heard David Njoku's name around trade deadline now the past few years. But yeah, if you start to see a young star developing, or someone that's shining and catching passes and being able to block, and being a weapon in the red zone, which I think has really hamstrung this offense in recent years, because they've been able to move the ball. We've seen that, but scoring 6 instead of 3 or missing 3 has been the issue. So yeah, if you have a young guy that's in there, could be have a bright future and be a star in this league. Yeah, of course, that creates conversations for guys that are, starting to get a little bit older, and they're getting more expensive by the year. In particular, when you have a situation where this team is in the cap, definitely that creates a conversation. So I'll talk about a guy. This is low-hanging fruit. Aiden Huntington. Obviously, I saw Baldy breaking him down. I was listening to the guys on the radio, and they were going crazy, and it seemed like that guy was all over the field. So in a room defensively where we need them to be the strength, and we need that position group to lead and stay healthy. Having a young guy that's an undrafted free agent could be a bright spot and come in and provide depth and maybe disrupt some opposing offensive lines and hit some quarterbacks. I think that would be huge. So that was a guy that impressed me, and being a Matt Guy Herald fan, and even though he went to Bowling Green, I'm excited about his future.
Hey, if Ethan Posick can't go in the opener, how big of a deal is that?
That's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. Ethan has, been a quality starter, a veteran, a guy that has led this offensive line now for a while. These guys are used to playing with, especially in week one. That's something that you want to get right, where it's right out of the gate. That's the last thing you want to have to worry about, a center quarterback exchange. Now, obviously, Joe Flacco has played with a ton of different centers, so I don't think that would be an issue. But anytime you're in week one where you really don't have a lot of tape on the opposing team, now obviously Cincinnati's a divisional foe, you know what you're going to get, they know the personnel, but you really want to be as buttoned up as you can and have the center, the guy that's leading the offense and making the calls on the field, be confident and prepared and ready. So, if he's ready to go, how's his health? Is he moving at 100% or 90%? But if he's not in there, is the guy behind him ready to lead the offense and make all the calls? And in pressure situations when the defense is moving, adjusting last second, last minute, right before the snap, is he getting guys in the best spots to pick up pressures, to pick up blitzes? Time will tell. I'm excited. But, yeah, it's a big deal.
John, thank you very much for the time. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Guys, next Tuesday, we will be close. I'm excited. Great talking to you.
John Greco on the fan hotline. He got me thinking about something during that segment. So I got two things for you. One, it's a sad bar to set, but if I can't win games, this is the next big thing, next best thing. And let me tell you why Kenny Pickett is an Andrew Berry miss. Give me 30 seconds. When we start the next segment over what John just said, Ken Carman, Tone Master General. We got Brady Quinn previewing the Buckeyes in Texas at 9:05 on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Window Nation and WindowNation.com. Boy, if you're a Buckeye fan, do I have a deal for you, because right now you are getting 50% off all styles of windows. That's right. And you won't have to make any payments for 2 years. No down payment, no monthly payments, no interest for 2 years. So what's in it for Buckeye fans? Well, let me tell you this. You get an entire house of windows. You are getting 2 tickets to go see Ohio State. That's right. You're going to see the Buckeyes in the shoe. You get 2 tickets to go see Ohio State when you get a house full of windows with Window Nation. And it's not just for the tickets. I mean, goodness gracious, it's good football. But you're also lowering your energy bills and upping the resale value of your home. So you get more value and you get more savings and you make that investment in your home. It's time to make that call to invest in your home and get great football. 866-90-NATION. And make sure you visit them online. WindowNation.com.
In the 4-man quarterback competition that was the talk of the town.
$295 or $339 a month respectively for 36 months, or get 0% financing for 60 months. Bedford Nissan, your family-owned dealer on the Bedford Auto Mile or at bedfordnissan.com.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Welcome back to The Fan.
Hello, Kenny.
Now I'm just doing shtick for YouTube.
We're going to
sorry.
have plenty of hijinks.
It's a
you
bright,
wait.
bright light.
Oh, you look like a jack-o'-lantern.
Wait till he dresses up for Halloween.
Oh, I'm going to do a whole week of shows.
Wait till I'm Christopher Columbus on Columbus Day and we get the hate.
You ain't going to do that, are you?
I mean, I MC the parade. What am I supposed to do?
If you want to do it, you go right ahead and do it.
There were no protesters last year.
Well, if you keep that conversation up, there will be plenty. How do you feel that Tommy DeVito was cut?
Kenny putting the flashlight back in
Because I have a whole array.
That's the end of this bit.
I have all types of things over here. I'm basically Carrot Top now on the Fan.
Bring the chest out that we've got in the back. Has Mitch prepared the chest?
I thought it was weird you brought that giant Q-tip in this morning, but now I get it.
Here come the bobbleheads.
Here's Les.
Be careful. Don't break that.
I'm not going to hurt this thing. Go to hell. I'm not going to hurt it.
We had a former employee who stole like 7 of those out the door. And the best one was the D. Sagana Jop Russian stacking doll.
The worst was Kenny brought in his Brett Favre, which, for all we know, Brett Favre came and took it. But he brought in his Brett Favre bobblehead, and it got stolen and then sold. For all I know, I bought his bobblehead back for him from eBay, and I don't even realize it. Because I was like, that'll make a great Christmas gift for Kenny. I'll get him a new Brett Favre bobblehead. And for all I know, I probably bought his own bobblehead. It was the old bobblehead
that was stolen.
I probably bought his own bobblehead for him. All right, give me 30 seconds to explain that Kenny Pickett is an Andrew Berry miss.
Oh, boy.
Kenny Pickett was hurt for part of the preseason, correct? Correct.
4 days in.
How many quarterbacks did we start the preseason with? Man, my eyes. I should not have done that with that flashlight. How many quarterbacks did we start the preseason with?
Do yourself a favor. Don't do the Boomer Esiason voice.
How many?
Can't lose everything.
How many did we start with training camp? 4. What was our big complaint? They were taking away. They were taking away reps from everybody. Precious reps. In the grand scheme of things, were those precious reps not better used on Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders? Andrew Berry miss anybody? Would they not be more prepared, better prepared for Saturday's game? Would they not be more prepared, better prepared with every rep counting? Every single rep counting instead of mental reps? Would they not be more prepared, better prepared for the regular season? I dare ask you. So let me say this. Is it an Andrew Berry miss, even though they got a 5th-round pick back? Because in the grand scheme, he never played in a game for the Browns. He only practiced for the Browns. It's a miss. Champions pose. I didn't even realize it.
It is. Now, is it all their fault?
It's not the reason that you fire him, but
yeah, if he would have been healthy, I could easily make the argument that he'd be starting against Cincinnati. So it's not all Andrew Berry's fault.
A lot of things.
But it also did, and I think most...
Then it becomes an Andrew Berry miss.
Well, can most recognize that this was...
Because I could have just kept the 5th-round pick, cut DTR, and given those reps to the other two, to the kids.
The 4-quarterback camp, and I know it was unfortunate, but then they had to bring in another quarterback, and then he ends up getting the 2-minute drill rep, whatever, at the end of that preseason game. It never made sense to me because I felt like you're running this like a college situation where they had simultaneous football fields going, and that's just not the way to evaluate.
It looked like a youth football camp.
Yeah, to evaluate professional quarterbacks, especially when you have 3 young ones. Yeah, people forget. Kenny Pickett is young. You know, while the 2 of us don't think he's going to be starting for anybody long term in the NFL.
Nope.
You know, he's still young and he was a 1st-round pick, and yeah, he does have a over 500 record. We think he stinks, but his career is not over.
Tim Tebow's over 500.
That's true. Bernie Kosar right at 500.
Yeah, but Bernie Kosar was really good at one point.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett.
Heck yeah.
Kenny Pickett didn't fit to wash Bernie's underwear as a quarterback. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
So so you agree with me? This is surprising.
I do think it is. Now, in the end, like,
am I being ticky-tack?
I do want to say,
it is
like,
ticky-tack. I'll
right
say that.
now, and it's easy to say this on August 26th before they've played an actual real game. I am excited for Andrew Berry's rookies. I think it's the first time I can say that. I don't think I've ever been able to say that. So hopefully they actually do. They look like they're an opportunity. They have the chance to contribute right away too, because not only they get drafted, they're starting. Like,
yes.
And Harold Fannin might not call him a starter, but he's gonna get a ton of opportunities.
So I'm not trying to be nasty about but I do think that anybody who, like, I'm trying to poke holes in my own argument here, and it's like, okay, you wanted to kick the tires on it. How many people whose last name was not Pickett or are Pitt fans or work for Pitt football thought that Kenny Pickett could be a franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Did anybody think that? So was he the first name that we did not? Was he or was he not the first name that we brought up to trade when we talked about trading quarterbacks?
Yeah.
It was the first name that we brought up to trade. So I can look at it and go, at the end of the year, I hope that we're saying great things about Aiden Huntington and obviously the draft picks and Carson Schlesinger and Mason Graham. And I hope so. But you cannot say that that's not a miss. I think it's not the biggest argument. It's not the biggest knock against him. It's not what you would fire him for, but it is a knock against him. That you'd had reps that went to a guy that you were willing to trade for a 5th-round pick at the end of camp who never suited up for you because of hamstring injuries. And he still practiced with a hamstring injury.
Yes, he did.
So he still took reps away from your pups.
Remember, he got back in with the ones. You know, that was, I remember some of the reporting.
If we find out it was a Kevin Stefanski move, because we don't know who has power on certain things, if we find out it was a Kevin Stefanski move, then it's a Kevin Stefanski miss. I won't know until the end.
I remember after the Carolina week, Zach Jackson was like, well, this is interesting. He's injured, but getting reps with the ones. So I guess next week Pickett's probably going to. And then, he's still out with the injury. So none of it made sense.
216-474-0092. I want to get to something else here in a second, but I want to get to Trent in Fort Worth, Texas. He's listening on the free Odyssey app. Hello, Trent.
Man, I've been missing you guys. I've been busy, but listen, you guys were Shedeur Sanders to me. I had a bunch of shows to listen to, your other teammates on the station, and I made my cuts, and you guys are it, man. You guys are in. So I'm low to you guys now, but let me tell you something.
Thank you, Trent.
Let me tell you something, man. I will say this. I'm from New York. I did some work in Buffalo at a GR 550. And I watched quarterbacks when Buffalo was going through a hard time. But let me tell you something about Shedeur. I never said he should start the first week. I knew he had work to do. But how funny do people switch up? He had one bad preseason with a third-team line and looked bad. If Dylan, he's going to go through the same thing, guys. He's going to go through the same thing. And my question to you guys is this. First-round picks aren't a guarantee. You have two guys here. I still think Shedeur could pan out better than Dylan, but Dylan's looking great. But my point, this whole situation was, the whole Pickett trade made me mad. Shedeur
made you mad?
Well, because Shedeur got reps taken from him, and then finally it called up to him. And the only thing I have a problem with Kevin Stefanski was, it's almost like if you put any of those quarterbacks behind what Shedeur did, and Shedeur compounded a lot of it on his own, but my gosh, he had no time, and I was like, how is this an evaluation? But Shedeur's going to be good. Dylan's going to be decent, but let me ask you a question. If you're Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur, and they're, foaming at the mouth for these quarterbacks for next year, are we in the same problem next year?
As far, you mean like Shedeur's here, and then we'll have a new rookie and Dylan Gabriel? I mean, we're gearing up for that too, because, you're going to take a rookie. I don't know who it's going to be. And you're probably going to still have Shedeur, probably going to still have Dylan Gabriel. So it just starts another conversation all over again. Like, I agree with you. Like, one preseason game doesn't wreck a career, at least for a quarterback, in at least in our situation. Yeah. But I also say, all right, what's it say? Like, can I try to look at it glass half full? Now, this is me trying to be rosy here. Okay, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, because let's throw the Carolina game in there as well. The rookies played well enough where you could put them 2 and 3 in the depth chart because, hey, Kenny Pickett was the first guy they got. So Kenny Pickett was the guy that they intended on starting the season with, and you just traded him yesterday for a 5th-round pick. So that's also a bit of a miss. But if I want to be rosy about it, hey, Dylan played well enough to give them confidence. Shedeur played well enough to give them something that there's future confidence in, and you got Joe Flacco who looked really good. So that's not all. It's not all done. It's not all done. I'm not ready to go beat on him yet for it, but when we talk about these reps here, if reps are so damn important, then yeah, you gave reps to a guy who nursed a hamstring injury, and then you trade instead of your rookies.
Right. And real quick, guys, I've been watching the Sanders on their podcast and stuff since Jackson State. And let me tell you something. Here's where I feel bad for Shador. It's his father, his brother Bucky, mostly. He's the nicest one out of all of them. He may flash his chin and all that. He's young. But as far as like bringing stuff onto himself, guys, and people who never watched him who want to chime in and talk about this kid, it's not him. It is so much his father and his brother Bucky. Now, Bucky just posted something now when Charlotte got cut.
Are you talking about Deion Jr.? Are you talking about Deion Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He posted something like sue the NFL. It's going to come back on Shador, but Shador has nothing to do with that, but he takes most of the heat of it,
Yeah, because he's the most famous one. Trent, thank you very much for the call. No, I agree. He's the most famous one of them, of the kids. And Deion's obviously, he's the patriarch of the family. And Deion said a lot of things, and he's been able to back it all up. He won at Colorado. He won at Jackson State. And in his NFL career, he was able to back everything he said up. He threw water at Tim McCarver. He was still able to back it up. And he's always he's always been able to cash the checks his mouth writes. Now, it might backfire when it comes to the kids, but I don't see him. Deion has not said anything nasty about anything here. Yeah, maybe the draft was a little bit, but I'm not sure.
What is it? I've been really curious. Without saying Deion, all right, and without talking about the national media and all their agendas or the grifters that are out there, what is it that you don't like about Shador Sanders? And since he's become a Cleveland Brown, he's been to how many community events? He's shown up to high school football games and seems to be having a great time in doing so. He has been doing workouts all over in the community, right? What is it that you don't like about him? Is it because he wears a chain? It's
no,
2025.
I think that...
honestly, hey, the phone lines are open. Like, what is it? Because to me, if anything, he has been so quiet. He has not force-fed any kind of nonsense. The stuff has come with him because of his appeal. And I think some of his fan base, I think some of them, they're after us every day. Depending on the day. It depends.
I think some of it is he does have a very, very, very strong fan base. And they are very reactionary to anything that can be even conceived.
Don't hold it against him, though.
But I think they do. I think that people, because they get in these online fights with people, I think they hope for his downfall. I think the other thing is, and I think that a lot of people had to battle this, is that, like it or not, his father changed the way we look at college football. His father changed the way we look at the entire landscape of it. There are guys who grinded it out for 20 years for their shot to be the head coach at a Sun Belt school. And Deion is Deion and went right from a television desk
fast track
to Jackson State, was there for 2 years, got that program humming, and then went to Colorado. And there were a lot of people going, okay, now you're with the big boys and you're one of the bad programs in college football, and then got that thing turned around. I think there's a lot of jealousy with his father when it comes to the world of football, because he was a trash talker when he was young, and he was a great player, and you couldn't say nothing to the guy. And now he's a trash talker as a head coach, and people root for his downfall, and you really can't say much to the guy because the standard at Colorado is different. If he would have taken the Florida State job and turned in the year they had last year, maybe people could say something like that.
Not good enough.
But Colorado being flat on its ass for most of a decade before he got there, I think a lot of people were kind of expecting a downfall, and then they were surprised and angered that it was a lot better than what we thought it was going to be. Coming up at 9:05, Brady Quinn going to join us on the show. Hey, speaking of college football, yesterday morning, Ohio State was being called national champions. Today, I'm not one of them. Don't yell at me. A lot of people calling them soft. Ken Carmen, Anthony Lima. We'll tell you why. Coming up at 8:43 on The Fan.
All right, the volatile market is something you continue to pay attention to.
92.3 The Fan, brought to you by Montrose Kia. Choose, click, cruise at montrosekia.com. We'll tell you who to draft before your draft party. The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland. 92.3 The Fan.
As always, you can listen to this show and all of our local shows on The Fan on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, or take The Fan with you wherever you go. Listen to us on the Odyssey, iHeart, or TuneIn apps. They're fantastic. Go ahead and get them as soon as you can. Brady Quinn going to join us at 9:05, where Brady Quinn might have to sneak his co-host into Big Noon Kickoff, as Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports and Fox Sports ain't allowed in the stadium. What the hell's going on down there in Columbus, Tone?
It's amazing.
You've gone soft, according to a lot of people out there.
They have gone soft.
You're not allowed. What was the first thing you ain't allowed to do? Oh, they're introducing legislature to change the times of kickoff.
Oh, yeah, to get it out of the Big Noon Kickoff.
You got big government getting involved, trying to change that, and now you got Dave Portnoy being banned from the stadium.
Well, Dave Portnoy is a provocateur, Kenny, and a lot of his content during college football season revolves around him ripping into Ohio State and doing it in a way that can be very entertaining, without a doubt. But now he got elevated to this role with Fox that has the games, that obviously has their on-location show. We were going to be talking to Brady Quinn, so we'll ask Brady about it, right? We'll have, at times, Urban Meyer, who we had on last week. He's on that show. And Charles Woodson has been on that show. So they've always represented or had representation from the different schools. And I think they brought in David Portnoy because of the Barstool crowd. Like, you never know what he's going to say. And I think he is amazingly entertaining. He'll throw stuff out there when it comes to sports, news, culture, politics, anything. He throws it all in there, and he has had some incendiary things to say about Ohio State. And so Ohio State's like, we don't want him coming in. He's also a Michigan booster, we should add, and he's also dangled all sorts of money to get other players so that they can, for the express purpose of beating Ohio State. And he is always trolling Ohio State at all times. This is why this is great.
He's not being allowed to come into the stadium because he trolls Ohio State?
Yeah, he's also... Remember,
that's pretty...
He's a booster. Urban Meyer is not a booster for Ohio State yet, even though it's funny, he has raised money, I'm sure. He's probably spoken at events, but he's not paying players to go to Ohio State the way that Portnoy is to Michigan.
Any booster who from a Michigan can't go to the Ohio State-Michigan game?
I don't know what their policy is.
Is that their policy?
But I think they're adding up everything together. He's openly mocking Ohio State every chance he gets. He trashes the fan base. He trashes, people that are in the program. Well, they have a hefty contract with Fox. Remember, they are partners, so I'm sure they voice their displeasure at having somebody who trashes their program every day come on television, which is supposed to be an infomercial for the conference and for the teams in the conference.
But he's a fan of one of the teams in the conference.
But he's not exactly promoting Ohio State, and so they're like, well, we don't want this. Well, I think it's absolutely great is because just to see the look on Ken's face, as much as Dave Portnoy is going to rub it in and be a troll and appeal to the trolls like Ken, who hates Ohio State, it is great to see people like Ken get worked up over this.
Hold on.
Michigan fans like Ken,
here we go,
who are watching from all over the country on YouTube right now, and to see that look in Ken, see how pissed off Ken's getting.
Let me read.
Great for the rivalry, and it's absolutely great because Dave Portnoy is going to go out in the parking lot.
Well, now I'm thrown off.
And they're going to do the segment right there outside of the Horseshoe.
Ross Dellinger writes, Ohio State did not ban Dave Portnoy. AD Ross Bjork tells Yahoo Sports. Bjork confirms that Fox decided Portnoy would not be on the main desk of Big Noon Kickoff, and those not on the desk do not normally appear on the field. These are Fox decisions, he emphasized.
Yeah, with heavy influence from, let's be honest, Ohio State.
Conspiracy afoot.
Is without a doubt the show. I mean, Michigan is 2. Ohio State's number 1 when it comes to Fox, this agreement. Everything surrounding the Big Ten. Ohio State is the leader.
Do like every other Michigan fan and get a job on the coaching staff, and then buy a ticket on the secondary market.
Yeah, that's all he has to do. Then he can start filming and then disseminate it to the coaching staff. And the coaching staff can pretend, we don't know where the information came from.
Is that the gimmick?
And then win a national championship
but
that very year.
Is that the gimmick of what they could do? Could he all of a sudden be like, let's go to Dave Portnoy, who's now in Section 237? It's like, what?
I'm sure
is
they
that
would.
What they're now? It would be. See, the reason I've liked Big Noon Kickoff is I've matured a little bit, or I really did. Lee Corso is the godfather of college football on sports college football television. That aside, him aside, I think that it just became too. It just really became too. I don't know. Too bubbly, too like, let's get this great. It's just too much. I really thought it was a child's program.
Well, because they went to 3 hours.
And they had to fill it. And I like Tom Rinaldi, but once you got past the Tom Rinaldi make you cry stories, then it just became.
And he's now on Fox.
This is cute, and that is cute, and this is cute, and that is cute. And I go, I'm done. So when I first saw Big Noon Kickoff, I go, here's serious guys giving me some football here before this game starts. I like this. Now, Dave Portnoy does entertain me, but if it does become this carnival sideshow, then I guess I'll just go away from it because, I don't get a lot of chances watching anyway because we got the whole youth football thing that I dare not speak of, or Lima's going to start texting my boss over. But other than that, I'd like to see some real breakdown of the games getting ready to be played later on today. Yes.
Look at your chat.
What? Oh, hold on.
We should mention it.
Oh, okay. For a second, I thought we had like hardcore breaking news here. Okay, no, okay.
But it is breaking news.
Browns are trading.
Wait a minute.
Breaking Browns news. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
The Browns trade. Cleveland is trading with the Rams for offensive tackle KT Leviston and giving up a 7th in 2028. 2028?
Hey, when you don't bring any of your starters with you and you fly into Cleveland and stay for 18 hours, sometimes you come away trading one of your guys back.
2028? Is this the NBA?
So,
all right.
So, again, Portnoy is entertaining to me. And I do think that if somehow they cobble together a segment where he's on the outside of the shoe or he's trying to tailgate with Michigan fans right around the Ohio State fans, I think that could be good.
That could be entertaining.
I think that could be entertaining.
That could be entertaining. But I like it dotted in a little bit. Like when Shane Gillis was on and he called him, Alabama Jones. When he called Nick Saban Alabama Jones and Nick Saban wasn't having it. I love that. Yeah. I thought that was great. If Dave Portnoy, if you take it over the top and it just becomes something ridiculous, well, then we're going to jump the shark and then that's going to be the end of it. But I enjoy it. And my problem was, man, Tone, you put me in an impossible spot. Because I'm not an Ohio State fan. I don't hate Ohio State, but I'm not an Ohio State fan anymore. I'm an observer of college football. And, man, I was all ready to get past you trying to make me out to be some Michigan fan, which I'm not a Michigan fan at all. And I was ready to call Texas soft this week. And now I can't call Texas soft because one of the most annoying things that I ever find in college sports is how sensitive they get over the horns down thing. Now, you can't do that on television, and it's a 15-yard penalty if you do horns down in the end zone when you score on them. And they act like you just assaulted their grandmother and threw her down the stairs because you do horns down. I love horns down.
Yeah, I think that's all part of what makes college football so much fun is that the fan bases can take it the extra mile. The alums, they truly hate each other.
I wanted Jeremiah Smith to score a 75-yard touchdown on the first drive and then go right there and do horns down right there in the end zone, and it would have been a great moment for everybody. And you ban it. I guess Fox is apparently banning Dave Portnoy, even though.
Although it's interesting, you brought up Shane Gillis. He was at the desk when that happened. I'm pretty sure that was inside the stadium.
One of the great lines ever.
Yeah,
so he is not a Fox employee.
It made it even better than Nick Saban would not put it over and look like he was upset over it.
So Ohio State...
That contradicts what Ross Bjork said about Fox's policy.
Ohio State is a 2.5-point favorite against Texas in this game. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea.
Well, you know who might have an idea what to expect?
Kenneth?
Brady Quinn, who will be on the desk wherever they may put it in or around Ohio Stadium coming up on Saturday morning. Brady Quinn, Fox Sports College Football. He joins us 9:05.
And all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Matt Corrali.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan.
We're live on YouTube. Subscribe. You can watch us every morning. We are live right now. I am looking right into the camera right now. And we have, coming up in just a few minutes, we have Brady Quinn, who's going to join us, Fox Sports college football analyst, Fox Sports Radio. He's on Big Noon Kickoff. He's up there with Reggie Bush and the whole thing. It's a big deal. You're going to love him. He's coming up at 9:05. Buckeyes take it on Texas. How big of a game is it still? Because we have a college football playoff. Like, it's not as do or die as it used to be, but I still kind of like it that way better.
Well, there's no doubt the college football traditions or rivalries, seeing these teams in these uniforms in that venue is going to be awesome. And it's awesome that, these teams aren't scheduling a patsy before they get right to it. And I do think this is the future of college football. Like, I don't think, the SEC just went to a ninth conference game, but in the end, I think we are all getting closer and closer to having it look more like professional football, where you're playing teams that can actually field a roster that is on par, that if they have a given amazing game, they can beat you. And that's never been the case in college football for the Cadillac programs. They always have games that are walkovers and homecoming games against bad teams. And the SEC likes to load these games at the end of their season, right before their rivalry games. The Big Ten teams get them in early on. I think all that is going away. With that said, what I loved about college football more than the NFL forever was that every game was life or death. And if you lost one of these games, your season could be over. And maybe that was silly. Maybe your season shouldn't be over if you lose a game in August. Okay, it's probably true. You shouldn't. But it was still cool. And it made that season and reacting to those games bigger than life itself. And you remember them 30 years later. I don't know if this Texas-Ohio State game is going to be remembered 30 years from now. Probably not. Because it doesn't have that cachet anymore.
Yeah, but there's a lot of big. I go back and read through a lot of history because I'm really nerdy about that type of stuff when it comes to college football. And I see some of these matchups. I'm like, man, really? Like the Ohio State and Florida State played at the beginning of a season. Like it's like it throws me off that there were these matchups back in the day that we don't talk about still. So I don't know how many.
Like 2005. No, we're still talking about Vince Young coming into the Horseshoe and winning in 2005.
I mean, he's still one of the most prolific college football quarterbacks who ever lived. So
yeah, but
he's a different animal than what some of the other ones.
That was the call for him to his launching pad. I mean, he was known, but that was the launching pad for him to have the season that he ended up having, and that was a critical loss for Ohio State.
And here's Brady Quinn, who joins us right now on the Fan Hotline as we get set for the Buckeyes in Texas.
Can I chime in?
Please.
Can I chime in on this?
Yes, please.
So we played USC that year as well as Ohio State. And I think what a lot of people forget, yes, a loss early for Ohio State, but that was Troy Smith's first year starting. And I think that Ohio State team at the end of the year would have been a better matchup for Texas in the national championship than USC. When we had played USC, that defense, when you wanted to, was not as good as the previous years when they had won national championships. So I've always kind of contended that since we played both, it would have been a better matchup to see Ohio State play Texas versus Vince Young. And as good as that game was, everyone made it such a big deal. It comes down to the end, Vince with the iconic run into the end zone. I think that Ohio State team was all around better by the end of that year than where USC was at.
So it is amazing if you think Brady Quinn joining us right now. If there was a playoff, there's so many years, and Ohio State fans have asked this forever about specific years. Had there have been a playoff, what would have happened? And so that does create the excitement and the opportunity. Think about Ohio State last year and how we talk about that Ohio State team last year. The moment they had lost to Michigan, and in normal seasons, so many years of college football history, their season's over. Think about what we say about Ryan Day. Think about what we say about so many guys on that team. And then now we have an expanded playoff. They go on to win the championship. So much of our of our history regarding college football would have changed forever.
I think that's one of the things that makes this expansion, this new age of college football, a bit uncomfortable for me, only because it's been a sport that's been dominated by the regular season. And the rivalries, the history, the tradition of those, why some of the rivalries have even come about. I mean, Notre Dame USC has been one that has been a hot topic of debate for a number of reasons. But, everything that goes into that, it's being watered down because you have the opportunity for rematches. And obviously those rematches in a sudden death scenario in the playoff feel like there's more magnitude on those games, even though back in the day, I mean, it kind of was a sudden death scenario. It always was that for Ohio State, Michigan, back when there was just the BCS. It's kind of felt like that, obviously, when they had the divisions and only a 4-team playoff. It felt like, hey, the loser's not going to get in. So the winner of this game is ultimately going to go on to the Big Ten championship and have a shot of representing the Big Ten, and most likely represent the Big Ten in the playoff if they win. So we are venturing into a new world where, as the playoff expands, it takes away from some of these matchups in the course of the regular season, which I kind of hate. But I understand that, things have to kind of grow and evolve, and that's where we are. There's obviously a lot of money at stake, and that plays as big a role in anything as anything else.
Well, what you say, I think, is 100% correct, Brady. Brady Quinn joining us on the show. There is a couple of things, though, that I think that might be underlying, that might be maybe a little bit positive. Like a guy like Julian saying, if he goes out there and loses on Saturday, people freak out. Maybe people freak out anyway. But it's like, well, you still have a playoff. You can still right the ship and get going. Like, we're not freaking out and firing your coach and putting you on the bench if you go out there and don't play well against Texas.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's interesting when I talked to Ryan Day this offseason was how they have to approach the regular season. And not that they're approaching it like it's okay to lose any game. And you can use the Oregon game, for example, the final moments of that with Will Howard sliding just a little bit too late, or even their performance versus Michigan, which, I mean, I still go back to that. Like, I was more floored at the result of that game and the performance of that Ohio State team versus the Michigan team that I watched in preparing for that all year, and how Ohio State at their best, like Michigan, shouldn't have been anywhere even on the field with them. And unfortunately, that day at home, it didn't amount to that. And how Will Howard played in that game. And then you kind of fast forward to the playoff. It felt like, that team finally, something clicked, and they played to their capabilities. They played to their talent. And that's really what it's about now. It's not so much of getting your team to be playing its best football for the end of the regular season, then take this month off and you're playing into a bowl game or playing in a playoff game scenario. It's now you're turning around, preparing yourself to get into the playoff and make a run, which is like two entirely different things. And Ryan Day kind of talked about it. Like we obviously, they need to play their best football right out the gate because you're playing the second or maybe the first most talented team in the country this season. But if you lose, it's not the end of the world. And then being able to, change that mindset, not only for the players, but for the coaches. Because for a long period of time, it felt like if you lost, like we're out of it. Like what are we playing for now? And that's obviously not the case now moving forward with the expanded playoff.
Ohio State has two of the most talented players in the nation, one on offense, one on defense. But who do you give the edge to roster-wise for these two teams?
I give the edge to Ohio State, and to me, it's all about the trenches. If you look at Texas, they've got 4 or 5 new starting offensive linemen. The center, Chester's the only one coming back. Obviously, a new full-time starter in Arch Manning. They started a little bit last year. But then also their defensive tackles. Colin Sims is a phenomenal player on the edge, but like Ohio State kind of held up and did their part on their own. And I would actually say that they've got one starter returning, but there's 3 guys who started games, played significant time for them coming back. So it's not the same conversation as Texas is having on their offensive line necessarily. And the one thing I think I'd point out that I find most interesting to see based on who comes out there and starts and plays for Texas on defense at D tackle is Hiru Kanu, who's the Ohio State defensive tackle who transferred to Texas. If he starts, it's kind of telling that he had to go to Texas in order to get onto the field, at least in regards to what Ohio State feels like they have in the interior of the defensive line and what, where Texas is at in the interior of the defensive line. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to tell you all you need to know. And I think that advantage is in the way of Ohio State. That's how it played out in the semifinal game. Obviously, Texas not being able to run the football, not being able to really stop the run. The only X factor to all of that for Texas is Arch Manning's legs. He's a way more capable runner than Quinn Ewers, who took 4 sacks and, could run at times, but is not more of a dual threat, and Arch Manning is closer to that. So, what Manning's able to do with his legs and how it could open some things up for the running backs of Texas and open up the running game, it's something to keep an eye on. But Ohio State, to me, with the experience on their O-line, some of the experience they had throughout the course of the playoffs, getting those guys who maybe weren't full-time starters, but really, really important starting experience, and then what they have on their defensive front, to me, that's where the biggest advantage is. And obviously, we can talk about the receivers and, how talented Ohio State's receiver room is, et cetera. But I still think this game is won and lost in the trenches.
How long have you known about Arch Manning, and what are you expecting for this to be his real debut? I know he's played in a couple of games, but this is his real college football potential coming out party.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to last year and starting versus Mississippi State is, it was in the cellar of the SEC last year. I wouldn't necessarily say it helps you prepare and helps you knock off some of that. But what he's going to experience in Columbus, come noon on Saturday has been entirely different, start and experience and speed of the game. But we've known the Manning family for kind of a while, and Cooper Manning has done some work with Fox. When we talked to him, he kind of talked about Arch as he was coming up through high school and started to kind of follow what he was doing in the state of Louisiana. And you got kind of a sense and feel that he was going to be potentially following in the footsteps. Once I got to Austin, I was able to see him when he came as a freshman. And this is back when, Ewers was hurt, Malik Murphy was playing, and they really had a plan set in place for Arch to sit and learn and grow, not only physically, but also kind of mentally within the system, and kind of bring him along. You could tell, though, watching him practice, watching him throw the ball, he had the arm strength. He was a bigger kid. I mean, even as a freshman, he dwarfed what Quinn Ewers looked like, physically. And so you knew he was going to have check all those boxes of what he needed to be in order to succeed. And I think what I saw from just watching him a little bit last year was he's got kind of that playmaking ability. And I'm not saying that Peyton didn't or Eli didn't, but it's different. He's probably closer to Archie Manning, his father, as far as with his ability to move around and run and make some plays. He kind of saw his first sample size versus Colorado State when he got in the game. He kind of flips the ball out on a scramble, making the play for a touchdown. There's just a number of things you saw, and you're like, all right, Peyton and Eli weren't doing that. So you kind of knew a little bit last year with some of his playmaking ability, but even just seeing him spit the football around in practice, you knew he had potential for sure.
Is there anything that you've seen in the limited experience that you've seen him on the field where it's like, I don't know, that could be like a terminal flaw. That might be a flaw that gets in his way. Is there anything there that might scare you for the future?
No, I mean, honestly, I haven't seen enough of him yet to be able to even make that sort of determination. I think when you see a little bit and get a small sample size, you're kind of looking at least I am, more at the upside. And honestly, watching his game, I mean, he's the type of guy, if he plays the way he's capable of this year, he'll be the first overall pick next year. He just is. There's not another quarterback in this draft class that I feel like checks all the boxes the way he does. And I know we give him a lot of credit because he's a Manning. But again, when you would put on last year the film and you'd watch his balls zip across the screen compared to Quinn Ewers, it just looked different. It felt different. When you see him in person, you're like, all right, this guy's got more higher-end potential. And obviously, again, Ewers didn't get drafted as high as I'm sure he would have liked. Definitely not as high as when he first went to Ohio State. And people thought the type of quarterback and player he was going to be. It didn't ever really turn out to be that. I think Arch Manning has the ability to be that player that everyone expects him to be. So I don't see any flaws with what he's done so far, but also he hasn't played probably enough to really see any of that.
Brady Quinn with us quickly. Shedeur Sanders is going to start the season maybe on the practice squad. Could be third string for the Browns at quarterback. What do you think of the whole situation and how it's been handled by the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I think the tough thing is if you're trading, why trade for Kenny Pickett if you're going to draft both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in the third and fifth round? Now, you might say, well, hey, look, we want to have two veterans duke it out to be the starter for the season, and then obviously whoever didn't win it was going to get traded. And we believe in these two rookies and their development. But look, I think both Dylan and Shedeur have made strides. They're obviously rookies. They still have a lot to learn. I think the thing that's come up a little bit with Shador is just, the sense of the pocket. And a lot of guys that are young, they get in this habit of turning their hips parallel to the line of scrimmage, and that naturally, forces them to want to run left or right instead of up into the pocket to then throw. And that's something that you can train out of you. Bryce Young had that habit. I called a game early in his rookie year, and he was able to kind of train it out more last year to get better at moving up into the pocket to then throw the football and get the ball out of his hand quicker. But this is a game of anticipation, and you've got to be able to throw the ball to spots and before those guys are even out of their breaks. And I think as he grows and continues to get comfortable, you'll see a lot of things you saw at Colorado. I mean, he's got the ability to throw the football and play in this league. It's just about speeding up that pace of play and then understanding how to navigate within that pocket.
Brady Quinn joining us here on the Fan Hotline. So if Ohio State has the better roster, why do guys like Paul Feinbaum say it's going to be a blowout for Texas?
Because it's an SEC homer. I mean, it's not that complicated.
I forgot Texas was in the SEC.
I know, but I had to set you up with it. I didn't know if you'd take the bait. I'm glad you did. Thank you so much.
Here's the thing. I try to be, honest with people. I realize I work for Fox. Everyone thinks we're Big Ten thumpers. I mean, I'm a Notre Dame alum. We're not even in a conference, so I kind of take a different approach to everything. The way I look at it is Texas and Ohio State are two of the most talented teams. All right, but there's no doubt about it. But to say they're going to drum Ohio State, I don't see it. I really don't. I think these teams are very evenly matched. Both defenses will be ahead of the offense. I'd be shocked if it's a shootout. So for those out there like the Campbell, I'd say play the under. But to me, this is one where home field advantage is going to play a huge factor. Anytime we opened up early in a season on the road, especially before teams really got going, and whether just how good they are or how bad they are, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's a new operation. Both teams got a lot of newness out there, and there's going to be some of those early game, ball security, tackling, all those things that you don't really find out about until you play the first game. So I just think that always gives a distinct advantage to the home team in this case, and I don't see this being a blowout. I think this is going to be a great game. Again, more defensive in nature. It all comes down to the trenches. But whoever loses this game is definitely not out of it.
All right, if he asks you, will you help smuggle in David Portnoy into the shoe for the broadcast?
I was getting late texts last night about all this and all this stuff, and I saw the comments of Ross Bjork. And let me just say this. I don't know what the hell's going on. I will say this, and I don't know. I'm not going to say in defense, but we've had people who are not on our desk to start our show be on the desk in the stadium. It's a tight fit, but we've done it. I mean, I'll put it this way. Matthew McConaughey is going to be there. I'm pretty sure he'll be on the desk inside the stadium. He's coming from Texas, the team they're playing. So I don't know what damage control Ohio State's doing, how much validity there is to whether or not he was actually banned or if this is all just made for TV. What I do know is there's room for one more at the desk. We've had players, coaches, other people on. So wherever front office sports got that report from, someone doesn't want him in the stadium. And I know Ohio State wasn't happy about the hire, so it feels like they're doing a bit of damage control right now. I just think it's all petty. It's all ridiculous if that's the case. I mean, it's fun. It's a great, it's a great game. Why are we, focusing on this off the field crap when we've got the greatest, matchup to start a season I think we've ever seen in college football history?
Brady Quinn, Fox Sports college football analyst, Fox Sports Radio, former Brown, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He'll be on Big Noon Kickoff coming up on Saturday. Brady, thank you so much for the time.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
Brady Quinn on the Fan Hotline. Okay, two things to break down from what he just said. A little bit about Shador, obviously about the game coming up. Love what he had to say about Paul Feinbaum because he told the truth. And how long's that leash going to be on Joe? Because you want to see these kids, but I don't know if you want to see them that early. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app and watch us at work on YouTube for free.
I'm Margot Gray. On the new podcast, Campus Files, we cover everything from rigged admissions to the drama of Greek life and student protests. Listen to and follow Campus Files, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
When you want the latest on the Browns, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
Brady Quinn joining us. All right, if he asks you, will you help smuggle in David Portnoy into the shoe for the broadcast?
I don't know what the hell's going on. We've had people who are not on our desk to start our show be on the desk in the stadium. I mean, I'll put it this way. Matthew McConaughey is going to be there. I'm pretty sure he'll be on the desk inside the stadium. He's coming from Texas, the team they're playing. So I don't know what damage control Ohio State's doing, how much validity there's to whether or not he was actually banned or if this is all just made for TV. Wherever Front Office Sports got that report from, someone doesn't want him in the stadium. And I know Ohio State wasn't happy about the hire, so it feels like they're doing a bit of damage control right now. I just think it's all petty. It's all ridiculous if that's the case.
That is Brady Quinn, Fox Sports college football analyst. He'll be on Big Noon Kickoff. Yes, Dave Portnoy not allowed to be on the desk where Ross Dellinger, then he had said earlier, Ross Dellinger is Yahoo Sports, great writer, great college football writer, really gets into the nitty-gritty when it comes to the NIL stuff. But Ross Dellinger had written, Ohio State did not issue a ban on Dave Portnoy. AD Ross Bjork tells Yahoo Sports. Bjork confirms that Fox decided Portnoy would not be on the main desk of Big Noon Kickoff, and those not on the desk do not normally appear on the field. These are Fox decisions, he emphasized, to which Lima rolled his eyes. Later, Ross Dellinger said that a Big Ten spokesperson tells Yahoo Sports that the league's understanding from Fox that Dave Portnoy will not appear on Big Noon Kickoff's main stage inside the stadium of any conference school this year.
So now the thought is that he's been banned from every Big Ten stadium.
What's the point?
To that, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that whether it's just Ohio State, whether other schools want to join in on the fun, they reacted very hostily to any thought of Portnoy coming into their stadium and rebel-rousing, apparently.
That is...
This is by the way, for Portnoy, this is the best news ever. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I know, call Ohio State soft, whatever. They clearly had a stake in this. But this is great for David Portnoy.
I do not care about college football as much as you guys right now because I'm busy on Saturdays. I honestly didn't know he was part of the coverage now.
And now you know.
I do for sure, and now I will definitely be watching on, because we don't play until like later in the afternoon, so I'm going to watch Saturday morning to see how all this goes down.
And to see how they incorporate it, because it's not going to be, it's not like they're going to tape a segment ahead of time or anything like that. He's not doing a Frank Caliendo, all right? He's the whole point of what he does.
I can watch it.
I mean, anybody that's seen his content, especially when it comes to Michigan and Ohio State, I mean, he says the worst things you could possibly say about Ohio State. And so their administration, they probably did not want that at all. They have a $1 billion partnership with Fox. So this is garnering a lot of headlines. So that's good for Fox.
Well, remember, I mean, his entity was at one point owned by a different company. They got their entity back, and there's things that he has said before that corporations find beyond the pale. There's the pizza reviews and things like that are fantastic. I think that it would make a lot of people in suits be fearful, but it's also going to bring a lot of eyes. I mean, when I found out that Dave Portnoy was going to be on there, I was going to watch, and I'm still going to watch because now it's just like exactly what Owen just said. I have to see what's going to happen now. That's before I head on over to my game and when Owen heads on over to his game. But I got to see what's going to go down because that's going to draw some eyeballs. Already on a spectacle that's going to draw a lot of eyeballs at noon. I mean, it's the biggest game of the year. It's Ohio State, Texas. You got these two teams that may very well meet in the college football playoff again or even in the national championship game. I think it's going to be much more difficult for Ohio State than it is for Texas for multiple reasons. But I also think that, what he said about Feinbaum was, sometimes I don't like asking the questions because I don't want to turn it into gotcha, but I had a feeling that Brady would say what he said, and he did, and I was so happy because it's like, all right, he knows the truth because he said it, and I think that I am a little bit bothered by this is that we are starting to try to draw up sides where Fox, CBS, NBC, it's Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten, and then nothing else. Where ESPN now, it's all SEC and nothing else can be talked about. Where you have to have a little bit of balance there. Like, you are going to carry SEC teams on a Fox broadcast at some point, a la Saturday. You're going to be carrying Big Ten teams on an ESPN broadcast, a la college football playoffs. So there has to be some balance there. You just can't do partisan politics on either conference. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm full of it. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently about it. Maybe you can be partisan and just say, yes, the SEC is going to roll right through everything. Because I know the SEC has their talking points. And the SEC, I mean, yes, Danny Cannell. The SEC likes to control their message. So maybe Paul Feinbaum's falling right in line. I'm not sure.
Kenny,
but I thought there should be some balance for crying out loud.
They're just taking the cues from what the cable news networks do. Right? Every cable news network has its side, and they bring on their cheerleaders.
Yeah, but you at least had, like, what, Bob Beckler at one point? You had a couple, I mean, there was still a Combs with a Hannity. Like, there still was a side that was liberal on a side that was a side that was conservative. There was a conservative on liberal shows that were on MSNBC.
I watched The Five, where it is a handicap match against Jessica, and she holds her own, I must say.
What's the show called?
That's The Five.
Is it a 5?
Oh, that's on Fox.
And what's that?
It's a bunch of Republicans versus one Democrat. And
every day.
And I think Tarloff does a exemplary job.
Who are these people?
Jesse Waters.
Okay. Who's that?
And then the other ones, I think, all got plucked by the administration. So I don't know if they're on the show anymore.
Oh, God, here we go. It's Tuesday. It's not Friday. It's not 9:45 either. 216-474-0092. You want to see him, you don't want to see him too soon. How long's the leash on Joe Flacco?
I may have misspoke when I said 3 games because they wouldn't go with a rookie against Detroit, right? In game 4?
Oh, I think it's all... Hey,
or do you think it's all on the table?
Yes, I think it's all on the table. I hate that type of thing. You need to get that out of here. You're a pro football player. You're going to be on this active roster. You can play against anybody. They're all tough games. There's no Texas State on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's an insult. There's no FCS school on there.
Yeah.
These are big boys. This is the NFL. They're all tough games. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Even the Browns. Like, yeah, if you wanted to start a rookie, you were going to start the rookie in 2017 against the Browns and not some other teams. Fair, fine enough. But, man, they're still tough games. Even the Browns in 2017 almost won a couple.
Then you've got, what, the international game after that?
Yeah.
So, do they have 2 international games or 1?
Just 1.
1 international game. Oh, that's right, because the Minnesota situation is they're there the
Minnesota
week before.
has 2.
Yes.
216-474-0092. Scott in Streetsboro, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Scott. What is up, my man, Scott? Sorry, go ahead.
What is up, Scotty? What's up, my man?
We had to do it. Go ahead, Scott.
No, it's all good. My biggest problem is Andrew Berry's treatment of the quarterback room and the backup quarterback specifically. And it goes all the way back to Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, you name it. Anytime we have a solid backup quarterback, which in my opinion, a room should have your franchise guy, a backup who can come in and go 2-2 over 4 games, and your developmental guy. Every time we get that backup, we get rid of him. And he should be asking, what happens if Flacco goes down on the first play of the game? You're going to put these guys out there, and the season's going to be over.
Yeah, I mean, they'll say that they think he's ready. I don't know how you could possibly be, especially given the limited reps, that they all had to split, in the lead up to this. But that's what they would say. The guy they overdrafted in the 3rd round is ready to go.
Yeah, the same thing. They thought that about DTR too, right? Or PJ Walker.
Well, they traded Dobbs. Yeah, so you're right.
So that's it. I'm just frustrated because I think he, and that DePodesta probably is in the same frame of mind that this is all analytics driven. They don't think there's any value in having that veteran as a backup that can come in and win for you.
Well, Scott, see, there's a lot there I agree with. And I know I've been a little bit defensive of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski in history. Again, when it comes to DePodesta, and Scott, thank you very much for the call. Again, I only see his face when things are going well. But when it comes to the other two, they got to stand in there and they got to answer some tough questions. And when I look at what they've done, one of the issues that I've had, the locker room culture stuff, they do not pay close enough attention to that. It's clear as day. You don't, I balk at the 22 Scott Solomon's call we got years ago that Zach Jackson so references. Yeah, you can't have 22 Scott Solomons, but you got to have a couple of guys in there that are going to be ass kickers, that are not just good football players, but are also going to hold people accountable. You have the best football player, arguably, in the NFL when it comes to non-quarterbacks, and Myles Garrett. He holds nobody accountable, and he's not interested in it. That I'll always have a problem with, where it's like, okay, you can have a Myles Garrett, but you better have a good player. You don't need him to be the MVP defensively, but you need to have a good player that's able to do that. Maybe Carson Schlesinger is going to be able to do that at some point, but it's a month into his NFL career, I'm not sure. And I don't know if they took Carson Schlesinger because of that. And also the rookies where, damn it, they're just going to do it where they look at it like we do with some of our baseball players and going, why not bring them up? Why not bring them up to the majors? And we do that with quarterbacks all the time here. Well, he's going to play at some point. Go ahead and do it. Like, if you are on the active roster, you should prepare as if you're going to play at some point. You should do it. But there is a history here over the last decade now of guys that they took who were not ready and not good. So, one, you drafted the wrong player because he ain't good. Two, you didn't do your job of getting the guy ready to do it because he probably wasn't good enough to begin with. And then I go back on your draft process. Coming up next, a fight in the dugout. I got to take the manager's side. That, and we'll get you ready for the emerging podcast scene.
love. Secure Purchase is powered by Caramel Dealer Services, LLC, an eBay subsidiary.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Cut deadline at 4 o'clock today, and the Browns have made another one official. Mike Garafolo.
Breaking Browns news. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Of the NFL Network, Mike Garafolo saying that the Browns are releasing Deontay Johnson. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson. He gone.
So that means our man...
That means Champions Pose on Keith Britton.
Laverdan is going to be making the roster?
That means Champions Pose on Keith Britton is what that means. And it's Larvidan. You said his name messed
Laverdan.
up. Gage Labradoodle.
So he is on the roster. He made the team.
He's got to be on the roster. Who else is going to catch footballs?
Who else is going to catch footballs? You got Isaiah
Do they
Bond.
plan on using Fannin in a wide receiver role?
Well,
all right.
Yeah, they'll line them up.
Let's play safe or not safe without me actually looking at the guys they've already cut. Here we go. Ced Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Jamari Thrash. Almost called him James Thrash. Safe. Safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Caden Davis. Isaiah Bond. Safe. Gage Larvidan. Larvidan.
Yeah, I think he's on.
Okay.
Is he on the same parallel as Caden Davis? Between the two of them, between Gage and Caden Davis.
Caden Davis showed me something. If you're going to keep 6, I'll keep Caden Davis. Engage Larvidan.
Does that give you 6 right there?
Isaiah Bond, yeah. Tillman, Jeudy, Thrash, Davis, Bond, Larvidan. Labradoodle.
All right.
Gage Labrador Retriever.
Boy, Deontay Johnson in that...
National Dog Day.
In week 2 of him being here, people started to say, could he be wide receiver 2? He'd be the second best wide receiver on this
team. Does it seem like now that we have the benefit of hindsight that they went, well, if we don't get Isaiah Bond, which apparently they had been talking since April, right?
Well, they were talking before that.
That was all the reports, right?
Yeah.
So if we don't get Isaiah Bond, well, we've got Deontay Johnson. And if we get Isaiah Bond, then see you, Deontay. If you're Andrew Berry.
That's the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, that could be it. This wide receiver room in general, though, and Jeudy, it's fun to talk about Jeudy based on the explosiveness we saw last year. And again, in camp, he's been terrific. The preseason game, he didn't show anything, but who cares? We saw what he did last year, and he was excellent. He got the targets. If Flacco is starting, he's going to get a ton of targets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you have him ranked as a wide receiver in the NFL. Does he have a chance to play his way into being like a top 15 wide receiver?
Jerry Jeudy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where do you think he is now?
Top 20, top 15.
Okay.
He's really good for the Browns.
I know we always talk about number ones. What's a number one wide receiver? Like, I don't mean, is he the best wide receiver on a team? Because then by default, every team has a number one wide receiver.
Do you think Jerry Jeudy showed you enough to be a number one for like a Josh Allen? Because it looked like he caught everything, and there was a bunch of different quarterbacks throwing to him last year.
That's true.
Now, I know that the last couple of games didn't go his way.
He's got to do it for another year. I think he's got to do it for one more year.
So I would assume if Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow were throwing to him, I think he might be all right there. That's my entire point on that.
Yeah, his whole thing has to be consistency, an entire season. In the last 2 games of the year, there was a lot of, I felt like the Denver Broncos, Jerry Jeudy showed up again at the end of the year because they were done. They were eliminated. So, he's a guy that needs to be engaged from moment one. I think Flacco being the quarterback certainly helps you out with that.
Zach Jackson has just put out that based on what we saw in camp, Deontay Johnson never seemed to be near the right side of the bubble. And when you can't make this receiving core, you might be out of chances. Pittsburgh wide receivers, man. Some in that water, they go rotten. Scott in Cambridge, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, Scott.
Hey, let's play a little game called logical thinking.
Let's
here.
go.
And
Let's do it.
It's literally killing me. Okay, so a podcast, Rich Eisen. Daniel Jeremiah, his top 100 draft prospects in this year's draft all went top 100. Not in that order, team needs and this, that, and the other. However, one did not. And we all know who that one is. So now you take a quarterback competition that was supposed to be one of the most heated that Cleveland has seen for a while. You signed Kenny Pickett right out of the gates. I knew Kenny Pickett wasn't going to be on this team, and it was very logical.
Well, after he got injured, or did you say that before he got injured?
No, I say that because of the Joe Flacco signing after the fact. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Flacco come off the bench short 2 seasons ago.
Why didn't they just sign Flacco first?
Well, that's a good question. And even more of a good question is, so this guy that you were banking on, and because of injury didn't get to see the field, is that telling us that you knew that he wasn't going to be on this team to begin with, and not having a backup that was capable of coming in off the bench in case something did happen to Flacco? That's a big question mark. So this narrative of the whole Sanders thing is even more of a joke, because they fed into this all the way down to the last 2 minutes of the last preseason drive to a guy that's not even going to be on the team. I thought it was biased at best, very, very poor competition, which everyone thought this may be the best competition they've seen in a while. And then that's taken the Sanders narrative completely out of it. I mean, just flat out, let's compete, let's see what we have.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're telling us that Flacco is going to start, if he goes down to injury or within the first 5-6 weeks of the season were garbage, you have left it over to 2 rookies. One, we know nothing about because he was unfairly given the reps and stolen reps, and at one time was thrown to the equipment managers. However, I will say that the incredible amount of pressure that this kid had on him with all of the talk and all of this and all of that, by default, he was thrust into the second preseason game with injuries, and he did nothing but perform. He did exactly what he said.
So you believe that this is mismanagement of Shedeur Sanders' training camp, and maybe Dillon Gabriel?
Well, I absolutely believe that it was unfair. It was totally unfair.
Well, now that Kenny Pickett's traded, I agree. I agree.
What did you do? What did you do there? And you even stole a 2-minute drive to get him in position to see if he could do the same thing, given 5 people blocking in front of you that aren't even on the team.
I agree. I totally agree. Scott, well, I'll tell you, the only thing I guess I can be ticky-tack with, and thank you for the call, is I think 3 of 5 or 4 or 5 actually did block for Dillon Gabriel as well. But I mean, that's still, they were blocking for the other rookie, and they weren't on the team. So you could use that as well. See, I totally agree. I think it's a mismanagement. That's what it's supposed to be there for. To a certain degree, but I have to agree with what he just said, what Scott and Cambridge just said.
In a draft, that's why when we talk about
That's a miss.
When we talk about GMs, people just think about their drafts. And the drafts are one thing, and they might actually nail the draft. We'll find out. We can say that in August very confidently. We'll see what we're saying, come January. But running an organization is not just the drafts. It's being able to facilitate an environment that makes sense for the most amount of players, especially the most important position in all of sports. That's the quarterback. And I don't know how anybody could think that they passed that test this year. And that is what is so hard when we're talking about grading Andrew Berry, and is he going to get another contract extension, or could he be thrown out at the end of the year along with the whole organization? Like, I think this is all part of it. I don't think this helped. I don't think this quarterback situation and how they forced the coaching staff to run this camp made any sense.
Andrew on Twitter wrote, Ken, Bobby was complaining about defense, not offense. Every big inning that seemed to give up multiple runs have usually been started with an egregious error. That's probably why he was pissed, because of Naylor's error.
Or how about, his fastball that's getting just drilled as he's given up 25 home runs this year?
You can be as mad as you want.
Is he going to blame the defense on that?
Him being as mad as you want.
Last time I checked, those balls, you don't have a chance to defend them.
Coming in there and yelling at everybody, that's not going to solve the issue. That's not going to solve the issue. And I know that Stephen Vogt covered for him and said he was trying to get people pumped up. If you're trying to get people pumped up, you would have let him do it. If you're being a good teammate. Yeah. If you're just going to start a bitch sesh right there in the dugout, then Stephen Vogt had to step in there because it didn't seem like Stephen Vogt was very happy about it because the guy was bitching everybody's ear off and nobody wanted to hear it. You saw what David Fry did. David Fry walked right away. Jose Ramirez glared at him for a second, so I think that needs to be pointed out there. Yeah, that ain't good. That ain't good.
Yeah, I don't think Jose is going to love having someone who's, what's that ERA? What's that ERA over the past?
Almost 7 since July.
Holy cow, that's not good. I know we don't use these stats anymore. Those are too primitive. These are archaic stats.
Young guy getting some money. ERA. Time to grow up.
Give me the WAR.
You can give whatever stat you want. He's been bad. Big thanks to Brady Quinn. Big thanks to John Greco. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We'll go around the AFC North. Also continue to get you ready for Ohio State and Texas. Matthew McConaughey coming to the state. Going to Columbus, Tone. Star of the movie Bernie.
One night when he was doing one of his movies and he was downtown at the bar, or he was at the flats at the bar, he was very approachable. The
he lived in Cleveland for a summer.
The females. Any guys tried to talk to him, he was not so approachable.
Oh, did you try?
Not me, but I saw someone try to go have a nice chit-chat.
Well, that's what he doesn't like about these Cleveland guys, man.
Did not go well.
The same guy.
Yep.
Every time.
Big thanks to everybody who joined us. We're back tomorrow at 6 o'clock live.
We're going to do this again?
YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah, yes. I think we'll try again.
Also,
is this going to be more popular than the history of dance?
College football is becoming closer to the NFL in more ways